Okay, my friends, Rusty with you here on this Friday afternoon. It is CFLW, Central Florida's live-only channel. We have some impactful weather developing across the area right now. We're going to get into the details. A new severe thunderstorm warning just issued here at 4 o'clock. As always, CFLW is sponsored by the leading law firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys, offering free consultation and policy reviews to walk you through the insurance claim process. Check them out by going to leanonleadlaw.com for more information. Scan the QR code if you would like additional details. Severe thunderstorm warnings have just been issued for Orange and Osceola County, so let's get into those details. We've had special weather statements through a lot of the 3 o'clock hour, but a brand new severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued. It does include kind of the central southeastern sides of Metro Orlando and then the southern sides of Orange County. This is a smaller area from what is a larger special weather statement. So brand new severe thunderstorm warning was just issued. You'll see that information scrolling at the bottom of your screen. It's going to go in effect till 4:30. Southwest movement at around 9 miles an hour, winds of up to 60, and that's going to be the primary threat. So I'm even going to update our headline here. 60-mile-an-hour winds, Orlando, OIA, Buenaventura Lakes, East Lake Toho, and the Narcoossee areas could all be impacted by this storm, which again could be producing some winds of up to 60 miles an hour. So that's going to be the bigger impact here for us. So I'm going to go into my headline here just as everyone is coming in and switch this to 60 now that we already have that. Can't rule out some smaller sized hail, but it is going to be the wind impact that I do expect to be the most widespread and the most significant. Now, of course, we have our live cameras here at CFLW monitoring the situation for you guys live right now. One of the cameras that will see this thunderstorm very clearly is going to be the Conway cam right now. That thunderstorm moving across the Conway area and just south and to the east. Additional cameras that we have right now in the Sand Lake area will catch this thunderstorm coming through as well. So the bottom side of your screen, central and left, will be the Sand Lake cameras and Lake Buena Vista on the bottom right hand side of your screen as this severe thunderstorm continues to move through. But again, just issued right now at 4 o'clock, a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Orange and Osceola counties. You'll get that information scrolling for you guys at the bottom of your screen. That is going to be the details for you there on my screen. So let's talk about the areas that will likely be impacted by this. So I do expect that some of the core of this activity is moving right over MCO right now. Going to be some airport weather warnings, going to be some delays there. Medical City, Lake Nona, Buenaventura Lakes, Meadow Woods. The core of the worst lightning right now is actually back up into the northern side of that cell across the beach line in the 417. Copious amounts of lightning, but the biggest threat again is going to be the winds. I'll put the wind gusts on right now. OIA has reported a 38-mile-an-hour wind. I believe just a little bit earlier, the executive airport in downtown Orlando had about a 40-mile-an-hour wind gust. So we've had some healthy winds already with this, and those winds are likely to continue to freshen up. Again, outside of the severe thunderstorm warning is a larger special weather statement, which goes as far north as the Altamont Maitland Winter Park, Castleberry areas towards Winter Springs. In these areas, we could still have winds of 50 miles an hour. It's 4 o'clock. It's a Friday. It can't be a worse time to have a severe thunderstorm here in the Orlando metro area. Again, movement is going to be south and to the west. Let me do a manual track on this area for you guys. I'm going to just take off for ease of thought here. I'm going to take off what we have. A flood advisory is now in effect as well. So again, brand new information. Orange, Seminole counties until 6 o'clock. Already getting some significant rain leading to a flood advisory. So let's track this out down about here, moving southwest at only around 9 miles an hour, something like that. So these are the areas that will still be impacted by this storm as we move through the 4 o'clock hour. Now, it's just west of I-4. It's the 417, it's the 408 with the most impacts, including places like Cimarron, but getting close to downtown. But as this trickles south and to the west, Conway going to be impacted right about now, and you can see our Conway cam starting to catch some of that stronger storm. MCO right now, St. Cloud at 407, Buenaventura Lakes 421, Pine Castle 425, Meadow Woods 428, Sky Lake 433, Oak Ridge 437, Kissimmee 439, Hunters Creek in at 448. Again, a severe thunderstorm is in effect for this area. I'll put this back on so you guys can see that. Again, movement is south and west. Generally speaking, these storms today are going to move from east to west. Some of them will have a due west motion. Some of them will have a little bit slightly south of west. Can't even rule out an isolated cell, even slipping to the north and to the west. But it's all going to be off towards the west, generally speaking. Now, there are additional stronger storms that have redeveloped in portions of eastern Pasco and Hillsborough counties. These are likely to be the next ones with the opportunity to go strong or severe. And these are likely going to be impacting portions of the Tampa area as we get into the drive home time here. This is the live look from the Tampa radar. And you can see these thunderstorms are developing from Zephyr Hills back to the southeast side of Hillsborough County. Strong storms right now over Plant City, Dover, Brandon, Sefner, Mango, Thonotassa. All of this activity is also pushing off towards the west. Additional cells developing ahead of it near the Pinellas Park area. So we are also going to see some stronger or potentially severe storms develop here. And as I am talking about these, they have just issued a brand new special weather statement down here for a storm, again, pushing south and west. So it's far southeast Hillsborough into northeast Manatee counties. You see some of the areas here, still relatively rural areas, but if you live near the Alafaya River State Park, Fort Greene, or Fort Lonesome, 50-mile-an-hour winds, and again, can't even rule out some hail out of this particular cell. Haven't had a chance to jump in the chat yet. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Thanks to all of our moderators. I'm sure they're keeping a close tab on what I'm saying, passing along the information here that I'm already giving, but jumping right into it, guys. Soon as I came on, we had the severe thunderstorm warning issued for Orange and Several counties. There's the live look right now from Conway, the southeast side of downtown Orlando. And again, appreciate everyone tuning in on this Friday. Again, thunderstorms developing pretty quickly at the hour, working their way through. This one can have winds of 60 miles an hour, torrential rainfall. Again, there is also a flood advisory that has already been issued for portions of Orange and I believe several counties as well. So I'll get you those details coming up. Things are coming fast and furious here on this Friday afternoon. And by the way, all the information for the flood advisory, when I go back to the other graphic, will be on the bottom of your screen. But it is for South Central Orange and South Central Seminole County. So it's like two different areas, South Central Orange, South Central Seminole. So you've had pockets of very heavy rain producing up to 2+ inches already, 1 to 3 and an additional 2. So 3 to 5 in a couple of spots. Storms will be rolling into the Sand Lake area. That's our camera looking south and west. So we're already catching the storm with the southwest view, but it's an even more prolific view from the southeast one. This is our Epic Cam because that thunderstorm is pushing towards Epic Universe right now in the south side of Metro Orlando. And of course, we also have our Lake Buena Vista camera. I'll be monitoring the situation there. Some thunderstorms are developing even west. This is a live look to Winter Garden on the western side of Orange County. You live in Lake County. A few thunderstorms have developed there at the hour, but certainly the biggest games in town are going to be what's happening here in portions of the eastern and central and southern sides of Orange County at the hour. I'm going to do this real quick. We have a couple of those cameras up. I want to switch over. We have Southwest Sand Lake, Winter Garden. I'm going to switch over to our Epic Cam here. As you guys know, I could just on the fly do whatever the heck I feel like. So I'm going to switch over to our Epic Cams. So now you're going to see both Sand Lake cameras and the Conway. These are the top 3 that are going to be impacted by this storm for you guys live. The numbers that you'll see on your screen will be wind gusts, of course. Because I do a Caribbean channel, I feel like every time I say that, I want to say in miles an hour because we have a lot of metric system there in the Caribbean, but obviously not here. So this severe thunderstorm warning, again, is in effect until 4:30. We've already had some 40-mile-an-hour winds here at the airport. If you guys have been impacted by this storm, let me know in the comments section below. That storm is going gangbusters over Lake Nona. By the way, kids are back in school in Orange County. Sure, we have some 30-30 rules going on right now. Medical City. I mean, let's talk about that real quick. Parents could easily be impacted for the pickup because of all of this lightning. My kids might be impacted by that as well. I pick them up sometimes, but my wife picks them up on Fridays and she went to go get them. So they could be impacted by that one. Again, the special weather statement extends up towards Maitland and Altamont Springs and the Lockhart area here, and that lightning is quite prolific all the way up towards Lake Mary. Put this into motion for you guys just so you kind of get an idea of what that movement is going to be like. Again, your general drop is south and west. It's going to have a west component regardless. Again, some do west, others a little bit more south and west. Same situation for the storms that are developing in interior sections of Hillsborough County at the hour. Again, these are rough storms and they're pushing west right into the Tampa-St. Pete area here through the rest of the 4 o'clock hour. Already one special weather statement for the southeast sides of Hillsborough County. That's a gnarly storm. That is a rowdy storm there. Look at that hail core. That's why they put the hail on that one. And that pulse up of hail is absolutely possible with some of the storms the remainder of these afternoon hours. Highs today were in the upper 90s. I haven't had a chance to look to see exactly what Orlando got to, but based on the models, I thought we could hit 99 today in Orlando. Heat advisories up across the entire state. Okay, very first time I have had an opportunity to jump into the chat. So I'm not going to be able to get to everyone right away, but I do want to say hello. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate everyone jumping in. Let me know what's happening in your area. I do appreciate that. Sorry about that real quick. Give me 1 second. First time I brought up the social. Should always check that. That's my fault. Give me 1 second here. Let me take that off. Just 1 second here, because I want to make sure the social's good. Okay, let me do something real fast. Okay. Well, maybe I didn't send it through. Let me try that again. There we go. Still my fault. All right, we're good to go now. Have the right chat up. Bad lightning in Lithia. I appreciate that. Kevin says bad lightning in the Brandon area. Appreciate you letting me know there. Yes, Amy, definitely some SLCs. Mike jumps in from Lake Mary and says, Lake Mary now has some very heavy rain and the lightning and thunder is striking hard. It's a nasty storm that extends all the way into the Lake Mary area and is even stronger farther south and east. Anyone who lives in the severe thunderstorm warning, let me know in the comments section below. Look at the storms building from our live cameras here across the area. Storming in Fruitland Park. Appreciate Raymond. Tom says they're getting hammered in Castleberry. Again, appreciate all the reports, guys. Keep them coming in. There's a steady rain in Lake Mary. Frankie's watching from Live Oak. I appreciate that. Again, thanks for everyone jumping in, tuning in. Thanks for hitting the like button and subscribing as well. I'll get back to the chat here in just a minute. But let's continue to monitor the situation for these storms. If you're just tuning in, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Orange and Osceola counties until 4:30. We've had a severe storm develop just east of downtown Orlando, pushing south and west. That's a live look from our Conway cam showing you that severe thunderstorm. Conway is just on the far northwest side of that particular storm. So it's a rowdy storm there right now, but it's even worse a little bit farther away. So let me show you some of those cameras. Here's our quad box. And again, when we have an active severe thunderstorm warning, that information is always going to stay on your screen. We always want everyone to be very informed with that. So live look outside, Sand Lake. I'll just drop that off real quickly so you guys can see the core of that severe storm getting closer to the Sand Lake area. Look at the lightning there just above that building. Again, this storm is headed towards the Sand Lake area. So this camera is going to be able to capture that fairly easily. Conway, again, the rain beginning to move into that area. Winter Garden, there's a few cells developing in Lake County. They're a little bit more congested right now, not too concerned about the situation in western Orange County. And then Lake Buena Vista, this is an area that could get clipped by that severe thunderstorm down the road. If you know anyone who works at the attractions, anyone who is at the attractions, Epcot, Disney Springs, the Magic Kingdom, let them know that this storm is headed their way at this point in time. But again, I think our Sand Lake cameras are going to be the gold star here for a little bit, watching those storms coming in. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning continues until 4:30. Looks like we have another special weather statement. Anytime that we have a new advisory, you're going to hear the automated tone, and then you're going to get that NWS update, and it's going to let you know. So this is going to be for Flagler and St. Johns County. So you're already looking back again at some storms up here trying to make a run south and east. So we have this west movement, and the storms up north are actually trying to dive a little bit southeast. But for the heart of Central Florida right now, movement is off towards the west. Storms again are strong up towards Wekiva and Apopka, Castleberry, Altamont Springs, Maitland. Again, anywhere within this yellow polygon, that's a special weather statement for winds of up to 50 miles an hour. Trying to rain itself out a little bit over the downtown Orlando area. All of the worst weather is moving south, so hopefully improving conditions, but still some heavy rain ponding on roadways across I-4 north of downtown Orlando, and then up 1792 across Aloma and JYP and OBT. It's not a fantastic time here. Again, as you get south of the 408, this is where we start to pick up the core of this storm right now, right across the beach line, and then working its way south and west. So that severe thunderstorm warning does extend again back down into the northern sides of Osceola County. If you live towards the St. Cloud area, this storm is headed your direction. If you live in Kissimmee, it's going to get close. If you live in Buenaventura Lakes, it's going to get close as well, with a movement to the south and to the west at around 10 miles an hour. Slow moving. That's why we've had the heavier rain. That's why we've had the flood advisories that have been issued as well. So let me give you the details, because we haven't had a chance to look at that yet. The details on the flood advisories. So a lot of different things that are going to be popping up on my screen here at one point in time. Again, this is a county by county look, so you'll see everything that's currently in effect for Orange County right now. But if I click into this, we can look at the actual flood advisory. It is for South Central Orange and South Central Seminole, basically two different areas, until 6 o'clock. Doppler radar estimated 1 to 3 inches of rain in some of these areas, with an additional 2. So you're looking at, again, 3 to 5 inches in some of these spots. They include Orlando, Winter Park, Castleberry, Maitland, Azalea Park, Conway, Goldenrod, Union Park, OIA, Lake Nona, Lake Hart, Fern Park, Eatonville, and the Aloma areas. Again, all under flood advisories at this point, and a horrible time for that to be the case with the drive home at this point in time. Storms are still very rowdy southeast Pasco through Hillsborough County. They're pushing west. They're already getting close to 75. They're going to make a run back into the downtown Tampa area here as we get deeper to the 4 o'clock hour. I'll be monitoring that. Additional cells are developing in between right now, and even a few more storms could develop along the East Coast. Generally speaking, this activity today coming in with the East Coast sea breeze is going to try and push east to west and continue that. Don't expect too much more along the East Coast, but I can't rule out a few storms in Brevard County, and then we'll have to watch out for the storms up in St. Johns and Putnam counties to make a run south and east towards Flagler, and maybe even the northern sides of Volusia counties. And even here, we're already starting to see a few cells just fire up at the hour. They're non-severe, but they're beginning to percolate up there in portions of the northwest side of Volusia County. Okay, back to the chat. Blue Goose, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for jumping in. I hope you are well today. Okay. So again, this severe thunderstorm warning will go until 4:30. The main impacts with this one will be some winds of up to 60 miles an hour. If you guys have had any damage whatsoever, if you've been impacted by this storm personally, let me know in the comments section below. Give me a heads up, say, hey, Rusty, we've seen these thunderstorms coming through. And all you have to do really is just give me, you know, your best guess. Hey, Rusty, we've had 40-mile-an-hour winds. We've had an inch of rain. You know, we've had 50-mile-an-hour winds. I see some tree limbs down. Anything like that is very beneficial to me. It gives me a great idea of what's happening in the area. Dolores comes in and says getting dark with rumbles of thunder there up in Buenaventura Lakes. Lady Q says St. Cloud thunder to the south and east and rain and waves. Neptune Road there on 192. Checking in from Wesley Chapel, Pasco County, dark skies there as well. Yeah, these thunderstorms are getting pretty widespread. Two big clusters out there. Some of those comments you're seeing from the western areas like Valrico with heavy rain and lightning. MCO inbound flights are being diverted, as you would expect. A severe thunderstorm over the airfield is going to cause that. And again, from the Sand Lake camera, that thunderstorm is building closer to that area. It's really beginning to pick up right now in the southeast sides of the Metro Orlando area. So again, all that information scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Of course, a lot of the information is on my screen as well here, but we've got everything hopefully for you guys that you need, and we appreciate you tuning in on this Friday as we cover live severe weather here in Central Florida, your live only weather channel in Central Florida, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. Also hitting that like button. Appreciate all of our moderators, our members, everyone who's joining the channel. So right now, again, this thunderstorm in southeast Pasco, northern and north central sides of Hillsborough counties, it's beginning to peak a bit right now. Bit of a concern for even some hail trying to develop. Zephyr Hills back towards Pebble Creek, that's a large golfing area there, just to the east of 75 and 275. But this is going to try and make a run, into the Metro Tampa area here. It's slow, hardly even worth a track at this point in time. But just be aware that if you do live in more of the downtown Tampa area, South Tampa, Davis Island, towards McDill, or into Pinellas counties, these storms are trying to work their way in. This is a live look to the Tampa radar. We're likely going to get some special marine warnings issued in advance of this. Remember, the Weather Service offices always like to issue the special marine warnings well ahead of time so that boaters can seek safe harbor. Necessity there. You can't be in the open waters with all this lightning coming in. For some reason, anyone who's doing some fishing in the bays, please let them know. I'm going to go back over to the Melbourne radar real quick just to keep an eye on these storms in Orlando. Again, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm going to jump back into the chat as much as I possibly can. Of course, our moderators are my eyes and ears. If you have a question, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. If I don't have an opportunity to answer it for you guys, the moderators will let you guys, will answer if they possibly can, or they'll redirect me. If you guys are members, of course, you always get priority as well. So this thunderstorm is hugging MCO right over Lake Nona, Medical City. So if you live in these spots, this is where I think the worst weather is right now. So right near the airfield, lightning count right now is tremendous. 265 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes from a pretty darn tight view. No, it's not the most lightning we've seen out of a thunderstorm in this view, but it's pretty darn impressive right now. Again, slipping along and south of 417. So if you live south of 417, Narcoossee, Buenaventura Lakes, East Lake Toho, and this thunderstorm has been able now to basically build back down south, as far south as the St. Cloud area across 192. 91 is going to be the turnpike back over to the Harmony area if you follow 192 east out of St. Cloud. So these are kind of the next areas here. Clear to see the outflow boundaries being produced out of these storms. You guys see that green right now. And as we're talking about that southern flank, they have issued another special weather statement. I'm not shocked about this. Now, they are keeping this a special weather statement rather than a severe thunderstorm, but it's darn close. You got to have 60-mile-an-hour winds and or inch-size hail for a severe thunderstorm warning. We're at 55 with this special weather statement. This is basically the highest end special weather statement that you can get. Let me give you the information on that one. Now, more west at 16. So we had a little bit southwest. Now we're more west, picking up a little bit of forward speed. It's still considered to be Orlando, the southern sides of Orlando, Kissimmee, St. Cloud, Bay Lake, and the Celebration areas through 5 p.m. Now, the southern side of Metro Orlando gets covered up with these thunderstorms here for the latter half of the drive home. So we should see this severe thunderstorm warning expire at 4:30. Basically, the new special weather statement is the reissuance of this area, larger and just 5-mile-an-hour winds less, so they can get rid of the they can get rid of the severe thunderstorm warning. Notice again that we had 3/4 inch size hail possible here. At least the special weather statement mentions no hail. Hopefully we haven't had any hail, but if you had some hail, please let me know in the comments section below. So still a strong storm. I will say I do expect the other northern special weather statement to expire as conditions have slightly improved across the downtown Orlando area, including Lake Nona, then back up towards Winter Park, Maitland, and Altamont Springs. This is the loop over the last half hour. You can see some of that rain beginning to fade. The southern part of this cell has taken over. So this rain still pretty strong up here, kind of in between is where we've seen it kind of fade a bit, but still some nasty storms near Altamont Springs building up towards Mount Dora. But downtown Orlando does look better. And then you have the MCO storm, if you will, and that one again is pushing more in a west to southwest fashion. Same situation here on the southern flank. You have the special weather statement storm for southeast sides of Hillsborough and the northeast sides of Manatee counties. These storms will be moving deeper west into Hillsborough County and eventually deeper into central sides of Pasco and potentially making Pinellas County as well. Again, I would anticipate if these storms hold together, we're going to get some special marine warnings up for the bays coming up momentarily. Charles, good to see you. Heavy thunder and lightning in the Remington area of Kissimmee. Appreciate you letting me know there. Angel's looking for some of that cooler weather. I appreciate that. We do have a new super chat, and I appreciate that. It's going to be $2 from Board Watching YT. Thank you for keeping us informed. I hope you mean in general you're bored watching YouTube, and I hope you're getting something out of this channel. I would assume so with the super chat. Thank you so much, Board Watching YT, for your $2 super chat. Let's get the hearts out in chat for Board Watching YT and their support of the channel. Thank you very much, sir. Again, just checking in. Timmy, thank you very much for the kind words. Same thing for you, Kevin, as well. Kevin, thank you for being a member, by the way. Again, members, their names are in green. They get access to custom badges and emojis during these live streams. They also have access to exclusive member short videos in between these live streams. Remember, this is a live-only channel, but in between, from time to time, I'll give you guys some exclusive member content, letting you know by behind-the-scenes thoughts. Easy for me to say. I need a drink of water, and what we're going to be seeing coming up. I'm going to take that quick sip of water. Look at this Sand Lake camera. Okay, water ingestion has occurred. Good lightning down here still. Regardless of whether this is a severe thunderstorm or a special weather statement, that is some prolific lightning being produced out of that storm. We have nearly 1,400 lightning strikes in this area right now. So pretty darn impressive indeed with the lightning count. And again, not a great time at this point for these thunderstorms to be moving across the area. That is what we call our epic cam, looking south and east from Sand Lake. Pretty cool shot from the southwest side. So we're going to start to see this camera get overrun as well from left to right on your screen. And this is kind of a handoff camera to our Disney cam, our Lake Buena Vista camera. This is the Lake Buena Vista. If you're new to the channel, I mention this almost every time we look at this camera, but this camera is just 1 mile from the Magic Kingdom. Basically behind that stand of trees is Disney property. So it's about as close residentially as you can get to the Disney property. So Epcot, Magic Kingdom, Disney Springs are all kind of within this shot. It's always a great camera to keep an eye on. The one thing we know here in Central Florida is that regardless of the time of day, there's a lot of folks out and about in the attractions area of Orlando. But of course, you guys know I've got all of Central Florida covered for you guys. Again, appreciate everyone tuning in. Thanks for hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel if you haven't as of yet. Again, from our standard view, we're up to 1,900 lightning strikes. That's pretty darn impressive here. The heat has really been some of the catalyst for the storms for today. The instability in the sea breezes weren't excruciatingly sharp today, but when you have surface temperatures of 98, 99 degrees like we've had, that just creates what we call a steeper lapse rate. So the surface is hotter. The mid and upper levels of the atmosphere are cooler and it cools quicker. And as that occurs, it allows thunderstorms to continue to develop and get quite strong across the area. So the fact that it was 98, 99 degrees in a lot of areas for today, some outrageous heat across the region, was part of the reason why we're having these thunderstorms right now. So it's 4:30, 4:31. We're likely to see, oh, you know what? This thing froze on me real quick. Let me do something real fast. I was wondering, oh no, has it froze on me? Let's see. I might have just been looping it. No, it didn't freeze on me. Okay. Well, thank goodness for that. Let me just reset this shot here real quick, guys. I was in loop mode, I forgot, and I didn't get all the way back to the live version because I was wondering why the severe thunderstorm warning was still on. But at 4:31, severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire for Orange and Osceola counties. We still have a few special weather statements to discuss. The storm is still quite strong over the southern sides of Orange County. 38-mile-an-hour wind at the airport. That was reported at 3:53. Hopefully the weather is improving a bit across the MCO area right now, as the worst part of that cell is drifting into the northern sides of Osceola County. Now it's Kissimmee and St. Cloud and Harmony's turn, including Buenaventura Lakes as well. Hunters Creek could be included in this. Still a fair amount of lightning out of this cell right now. 425 lightning strikes. East Lake Tahoe and St. Cloud are getting pounded. This is a pretty tight view to have over 300 lightning strikes. So it's coming down right now in northern Osceola County. I'm sure 192 is at a crawl through St. Cloud and all of the city streets as well. Got to watch out for ponding on roadways here, as impressive as this rainfall total is. So again, let me know in the comments section. We do have a new super chat that I do not want to pass up. It is PebMets, a friend of the channel, always jumping in with the $10 super chat. Thank you for your continued coverage. Titusville is calming down. PebMets, I appreciate that. Thanks for letting me know about Titusville. Thank you for your support of the channel. Hearts out in the chat for PebMets. I appreciate that very much, sir. All right. I want to take a look real quickly here at just how heavy this rain is to give you guys an idea. I'm going to switch over to our product, which shows the rainfall rates. If you guys know this product here, we're likely to see a lot of blacks and blues on the map. So this is how much rain is falling per hour with these storms. So right over St. Cloud, you're getting what I expected. I even thought it might be higher than this. 3.5 to nearly 4-inch rainfall rates per hour. Look, the storm is moving, so we're not going to have 4 inches of rain in an hour over St. Cloud, but that is extremely heavy rain that has moved right across East Lake Tahoe and the St. Cloud areas with the 3.5 to 4-inch rainfall rates per hour. We could easily get 2 to maybe 3 inches of rain in some of those spots, okay? Now notice again, the rainfall has calmed down in the downtown Orlando area. It's actually picked back up in the Apopka area here, just to show you guys, if you live in Apopka, north and west towards Mount Dora, although that's not a stronger storm, that's a heck of a lot of rain. Still 3 inches per hour there. And then back over to portions of Pasco and Hillsborough counties. This is the next cell that I anticipate being one that they could issue a special weather statement on. And it's up here for Zephyr Hills. This is actually the worst storm right now. Over 4.5 inch per hour rainfall totals here. Southeast Pasco, far northern sides of Hillsborough counties. That is a very prolific storm. Remember though, the rainfall rates, the amount of lightning, do not correlate to special weather statements and severe thunderstorm warnings. It's only the wind and the hail. Those are the only two criteria to get special weather statements and or severe thunderstorm warnings. Okay, back out to the big perspective here. How's everyone doing on this Friday afternoon? Our storms are still quite strong, southern sides of the metro Orlando area. That special weather statement, again, 55-mile-an-hour winds. Tracking this out, moving west at around 15. Buenaventura Lakes, right now. Kissimmee, in a couple of minutes. Campbell, 4:59. So the storm has dropped south of St. Cloud, but is still likely to still traverse west and into the northern sides of Polk County. Now, additional activity has developed ahead of that as well, over the Haines City area. Again, just a few clusters of thunderstorms, but the Haines City storm, not that bad. Pretty impressive downpours and a lot of lightning there. There's the storm that I mentioned, Apopka, back towards 441. There's your additional storms here in the northwest side of Volusia County. Pearson, solid storm over the Pearson area, back down towards De Leon Springs. There's your special weather statement for the next 9 minutes that does slip into the northern sides of Flagler County. And for my friend Blue Goose up here in St. John's, St. Augustine is under a special weather statement for the next 9 minutes there, though the core of that storm, at least right now, is north and west of you. Brian Tucker says here in Clearwater, I can smell the rain coming. I know you've been desperate for some. I certainly hope you get some as well. Port St. Lucie started to get dark again. I love to hear where everyone is tuning in from. It's not just Florida, it's across the country, it's across the world, and I appreciate you guys taking a second coming into the chat. Again, this is what makes this channel different, guys. You guys are the catalyst for this channel, the live interaction, letting me know what's happening in your area, asking questions, being a part of the fantastic CFLW weather community. Again, live only channel. I'm only on when there's impactful weather here across Central Florida, so have all notifications on. You're not going to get inundated with notifications from me. If you do get a notification, it's because I'm live, and there's probably a reason to check in and see what's happening. As we go back to Sand Lake, if you see a little bit of a blip there on the screen, it's likely because there's some lightning in the area that has been moving across. So this is going to be an area, again, that is likely going to at least catch some of this storm. I do believe that the worst part of the special weather statement storm is going to move just south and east of this camera, but it should be a very interesting view. Again, even out the western sides of Orange County, again, as we see a little bit more lightning, it's an interesting shot here. We still have a few storms out in the distance. Some of the overcast from the storms east of the area has been able to push into the western sides of Orange County. So now there's a veil of cloud coverage there as well, despite the fact that most of western sides of Orange County have been dry, at least so far. The thunderstorm is beginning to move out of the downtown Orlando area. So places like Holden Heights and Conway and Azalea Park and up towards Orlando downtown and Winter Park and Baldwin Park, conditions beginning to improve. Good news for the drive home. As bad as it was a little bit earlier, it's nice to see the fact that these storms are beginning to move out of the downtown Orlando area. But of course, other areas will have to deal with this storm. And one of those will continue to be areas in the southern sides of Metro Orlando. There's the Sand Lake camera looking south and west. Again, that storm is trying to make a run a little bit farther south. Again, I don't think this particular camera is going to get directly overrun by that special weather statement storm, but it is going to be close. Of course, we'll be monitoring all of our cameras across Central Florida for you guys. If you want to sponsor one of the cameras, or if you're a Central Florida business owner and you want to sponsor the channel, like the Lean Law Firm, scan that QR code. It will take you to our email. Send me an email. Let's talk. Appreciate the Lean Law Firm being one of the sponsors of the channel. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys, offering free consultation and policy reviews. You run into an insurance claim and it's a big headache. They can walk you through that insurance claim process. Scan the QR code. It'll take you to their website, or you can give Bobby Lean and the team a call at 407-502-0053. Again, if you're a Central Florida business owner, you want that nice little what we call L bar there on the screen for you, talk to me. Let's do some business. Kevin, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. KP asked for a turnpike update. I could do that. So when we're talking about the turnpike right now, which is going to be 91 on your screen, the worst impacts are still going to be basically in the northern sides of Osceola County. So 91 coming down out of Orange County, still pretty covered up right now through the St. Cloud area. The problem with this is that this is an area that always slows down traffic-wise. It's never fun if you drive the turnpike in the northern Osceola County with the traffic, and especially on a Friday, and especially with blinding rain. So it's a problem, and this will continue to drip south as the turnpike bends back more to the east and central and the southern sides of Osceola County. Conditions will improve, but certainly northern Osceola County is no good. Following the turnpike into western sides of Orange County, we're looking fine. We're going to run into a little bit more rain as you get back into portions of Lake County, but that shower there north of Mascot does not look too bad. And then as the turnpike ends in the Wildwood area, scattered showers. But I'm more concerned about Osceola County for more than anything else right now. Let's look at the Tampa radar. because this storm here in Hillsborough County is looking pretty darn impressive up to the southeast side of Pasco. Again, Zephyr Hills, you live in Wesley Chapel, look to your east. This puppy's coming. This one's rolling through your area, guys. Pebble Creek, Thonotassa, Temple Terrace, East Lake, Palm River, Claremelle. It's potentially lightened a bit for the Brandon, Mango, Seffner, Dover, Valrico, Lithia areas, Bloomingdale as well. Notice that the special weather statement has been allowed to expire, so we no longer have that. Still could see some storms working towards coastal sides of Manatee and Sarasota. Sarasota has just reported a 36-mile-an-hour wind gust there. Thunderstorms are developing inland as well. Again, most of this activity in all the areas that I just mentioned are going to be moving from east to west. When you get far enough north, some of this activity coming out of the I-10 corridor is actually working its way south and east. So I'll put this into motion, and you'll see this activity, it's just kind of sitting there. Remember, I mentioned it in yesterday's streams, our overall winds at the mid and the upper levels of the atmosphere are quite minimal. So slow, erratic movement of the storms, especially as the sea breezes collide, are absolutely possible. This is why we could get some of that heavier rain across the area. And you're still going to see that flood advisory scrolling down below right now for portions of Orange and Seminole counties for 3 to 5 inches of rain. So we've already had some locally heavy downpours out of this slow, erratic movement. Hopefully from I-4 west, in this area, forward speed will begin to pick up. And although, of course, that means more areas are going to get run over, the storms will be sitting in one spot too long, and we're not going to have additional flood issues. Don't want to see any flash flood warnings here. Going to have a new update. It's going to be a special weather statement. So let's get the details on that. I'm going to go back out. So it's going to be for Inland, Flagler, and Putnam. Let's see if this is a new issuance or this is a continuous issuance until 5/15. So it is a new issuance. So there's going to be a new special weather statement for Inland, Flagler counties until 5/15. So there you go. Well, thank you, Therese. Appreciate you following us across all of our social media, which is things that we're going to be ramping up as well, as far as more coverage on some of those other social media platforms. Yeah, you can find us on our other ones, and we have links in the YouTube page here as well to all of that. So I appreciate that. Captain Danny says a huge bolt of lightning near the 417 entrance. So Meadowood, still thunder and lightning by the Sun Rail Station. So Meadowood's still getting it here on the far, far southern sides of Metro Orlando near MCO. Appreciate that report. Linda, how you doing? Linda had a good downpour there a little bit earlier. Chris has blue skies and some clouds, but the rain has stopped there in the Lakeland area for now. But, you know, some of you coming on says, hey, Rusty, even a little bit earlier, you know, we had some decent activity as well. A couple of minutes ago, Wingman coming in, and I appreciate all this information at MCO, saying that MCO just resumed flight ops, release the hounds. There you go. Lightning beginning to pull out of the area, out of the airfield, the rain beginning to dissipate enough. So not surprising, but it's always good to get the official information that that's beginning to happen. Again, cells are developing ahead of this towards Haines City. It's interesting because from the Tampa radar, I'm picking up the opportunity for some hail here. I'm a little surprised that we haven't had at least a special weather statement put on this storm. My opinion, that this cell has intensified pretty strong. I mean, that is 450 lightning strikes and an algorithm showing the possibility of some hail just west of 41. I mean, large hail. I don't expect it to be that large. It's probably a little bit corrupted by the extremely heavy rainfall here. Remember, rainfall rates were about 5 inches an hour out of Zephyr Hills. I'll say this, if you live in Wesley Chapel or Pebble Creek, batten down the hatches. This storm is coming. 50-mile-an-hour winds are not out of the question, even without a special weather statement, and any opportunity for hail. Look, if you live west of that core and you have a chance just to run inside before the lightning gets to your area and get the car inside, it's not a bad idea just to protect your property and be on the safe side, right? Hopefully the hail size, even if some were to develop, wouldn't be significant enough to cause any damage. Got to get to probably 3/4 inch size hail or slightly higher for that kind of roof, shingle, damage to the cars. I don't think and believe that's the case, but why risk it if you have an opportunity to just, because that's a significant storm. And again, the storm behind me right now in the southern sides of Orange County, still moving through, a tremendous amount of lightning produced out of that. But I do believe that this is the strongest storm right now in our area. It just doesn't have a special weather statement or a severe thunderstorm. I should be back up now. I should be back. Yep. Okay. And we're back. It's like a brief timeout, right? I wish I had used the restroom had I known we were going to have this brief timeout. But I appreciate it. A little bit of a buffer from time to time. Our Christopher says it's pouring in Zephyr Hills. I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for sticking with me. From time to time it happens. But we'll get you back. Ketty says only a couple of measly drops in Lakeland so far. Okay. Well, hopefully you get a little bit more if you want some. Again, appreciate everyone jumping back in. Still looking pretty nice over the Sand Lake camera. And by nice, I mean pretty darn gnarly, right? You can see that thunderstorm that still has the special weather statement in the northern sides of Osceola County, continuing to work its way off to the south and to the east. So again, this camera is likely to not be directly impacted by that storm, but it is one that is fairly impressive right now at the hour, and one that will continue to impact places like Kissimmee and St. Cloud over the next 15 to 20 minutes with some very prolific lightning and some heavier rainfall there. So you're gonna have to watch out the situation there over the next, again, 15 to 20 minutes, probably through about 5:15, I think would be the area of most concern as far as time frame goes in those spots. If you didn't catch what I was saying, by the way, about the storm in Pasco County, if you do live in places like Zephyr Hills or Wesley Chapel or places like that, I would certainly be ready for this storm to be moving through. I actually believe that the worst storm in Central Florida right now is this one right here. It's the one over the Zephyr Hills area to Wesley Chapel and Pebble Creek. Again, my radar system is actually painting on the opportunity of some hail out of this storm. So again, I don't know if you heard me, if you didn't hear me, but if I live along 75 and west of this storm, despite the fact there's not a special weather statement on it right now, I'd probably want to take some measures to protect my property, meaning just get the car inside, right? I hope the hail size, if there is some, and I'm not expecting the hail to be overtly large for today, so hopefully this is just congested with some heavy rainfall. We don't really have 1.5 inch size hail, but regardless, right, just take that extra precaution. You got to get up to at least 3/4 inch or 0.88 inch size hail for the hail to be damaging, right? That's the hail size. You get up to nickel-sized hail that could produce some damage. So hopefully that's not going to be the case. But again, this line of storms continues to just basically fill in all the way back into the North Sea sides of Manatee County, and that's making a way into the heart of the metro or Tampa area. Thunderstorms right over the Haines City, Lake Hamilton area. Solid storm there, 67 lightning strikes. Special weather statement continues here. And again, the newest information on that one is until 5 o'clock. moving west at 16. The lightning count here is still extremely impressive over East Lake Tahoe, St. Cloud, 192. The Turnpike, Buenaventura Lakes, completely covered up right now over the Kissimmee area. We have picked up a 33-mile-an-hour wind, so the outflow boundary is beginning to push now near the Kissimmee area, so you're going to get a wind shift as that dark shelf cloud and those SLCs, those scary looking clouds, move over Kissimmee, and winds will be freshening up here as well. Improving conditions through downtown Orlando. Still a good storm over Altamont Springs, Maitland, and Wekiva. Still some heavier rain across I-4. Thunderstorm extends now from Apopka north and west towards the Mount Dora area. Again, lightning picking up with this particular cell right over the 441 area. And then everything is much more spotty north of here, right? It's kind of just dotting the landscape here and there and everywhere. This one cell that they continue to issue this special weather statement store, it's just not moving very much right now. I'll put this into motion and show you how it's moved over the last little bit to 453, where now they have it almost south and west at 8. So that one is finally picking up the west movement as well. I was a little bit shocked that the first special weather statement was east, because everything today more than likely is going to develop and move its way back off towards the west. Again, can't rule out an additional shower or storm along the east coast, but most of this activity should be developing and working its way back to the west over the next, let's say, 2 to 3 hours. Liam, overall, I'm not expecting tornado activity for today. Can't rule out a little bit of squirrely activity along the bays, right? And again, no special marine warnings yet as well for Tampa. It's going to be a close shave. It's going to be a real close shave. Thunderstorms have broken apart a little bit. Central and the southern sides of Hillsborough County. These storms are kind of almost building and getting worse north. We do have another NWS alert. So that'll be coming up on your screen right now. I'll go back out to the broad view. Let me reset things. Still have, by the way, our flood advisory for Orange and Osceola counties, and Orange and Citadel counties until 6 o'clock. So again, that is going to be the update here with that storm moving south and west. Hope everyone's doing well today. Thank you for jumping into the chat. Lynn, I appreciate you saying Lakeland Crystal Lake area been thundering and raining light. Flag is blowing in eastward. We had a major downpour in North Lakeland. So some of Polk County still getting hammered pretty good. Storm in Tampa is moving west. Storm in Tampa is moving west. All right, so let's reset the scene. 4:55. Kind of break down what I expect for the next hour or two. First of all, we had a really strong storm, severe thunderstorm warning for southern Orange and Osceola counties. That storm has weakened in the minorest of ways, if you will. Still a special weather statement for the next 4 minutes until the top of the hour, right? This storm is now working its way west. Again, it's been impacting areas of Osceola County. It will eventually reach Campbell in the next couple of minutes. You can see that track west at around 15 miles an hour. Additional cells have developed ahead of it, back towards Davenport and Haines City. And some of this activity will likely just kind of fill in along or just south of I-4 in the Lakeland, Winter Haven areas there. Strong storm continues to almost build north along our line here from Zephyr Hills, Dade City 301, bracketing on the western side 75. So again, San Antonio. I mentioned Wesley Chapel and Pebble Creek. The thunderstorm beginning to move into that area. Look at the lightning pushing out ahead of it. Probably a little bit of lightning near Lutz in the Land O'Lake area. And this is all going to be pushing towards the west. The southern flank of this is losing a bit of its punch right now over portions of Hillsborough County. So we'll see how far north in Hillsborough and into Pasco the worst part of that storm gets and how far west it makes it. If you do live in Pinellas County, especially the southern half of Pinellas County, the part of the storm that was going to try and work its way across the bays and into your area has begun to fizzle a bit. Doesn't mean storms won't redevelop, but at least for right now, that part of the cell has gone bye-bye. Switching back over to the Orlando radar, this is what I want to just bring up. If you notice from our Melbourne radar, this is the outflow boundary of these storms. Do you notice how a couple of cells have developed along that? Again, initial movement could be very slow and erratic with this and even backbuild east for a time. Generally speaking, and the majority of the movement, once this thing gets developed, as it gets into the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, as the storm builds in height, right, should push it back off towards the west. When these storms are shallow and they're very low in the atmosphere as they begin to build, the winds at the lower levels of the atmosphere are quite minimal right now, which is why those storms don't move much. But as they build up in height, they get picked up by a little bit stronger westerlies out of the mid and the upper levels of the atmosphere, pushing them from east to west. And again, temperatures today were outrageously hot. There were some mid and upper 90s across the area. Fuel to the fire. Inverness is still in at 95 to give you an idea. There were, 98 and 99 degree marks for today, and the heat was a part of the story as to why we've had these storms. The sea breezes themselves weren't overtly strong for today, but you combine that with some of the other ingredients, if you will, for the severe weather soup, and we got some of those storms out there. Going to keep an eye on the Winter Garden camera. Again, a few storms to our west. That is actually looking all the way into, because the closest storm from Winter Garden all the way to the Sumter Lake County line. That's how far we can see on the horizon here. Again, if you join the channel, we get some beautiful sunset shots from the Winter Garden camera looking back off towards the west. So I'll be monitoring that camera for you guys. Again, still keeping an eye on the Sand Lake cameras. That thunderstorm just kind of hovering just a little bit away, but still some really dark, angry looking skies. A lot of SLCs out there for you right now from the southwest side of Sand Lake. And then back over to the southeast side of Sand Lake, you can see how that thunderstorm has moved left to right across your screen, just brushing the Sand Lake area as it got into the northern sides of Osceola County. So this is what it looks like in our 6 box, if you will. There's a lot of clouds, right? None of our cameras at this point in time are getting overrun by any of these storms, but it shows you how widespread some of the activity has been on this Friday afternoon. And these storms did ramp up relatively quickly for today as well. 4 of our cameras look like this for you right now. And again, bottom right-hand side of your screen, that's Lake Buena Vista and the Disney area. Keep an eye on that. But for right now, that thunderstorm is just south of there. Jody says, you keep messing with Chet in Davenport where it's getting dark, ready to pour. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. Davenport, about ready to get the hammer time there, huh? Davenport, Haines City. Again, I've mentioned this storm, but I appreciate you jumping in and letting me know that what I'm seeing on the radar is what you're getting as well. So they just allowed this special weather statement to expire at 5 o'clock. Again, it's got to be producing winds of at least 40 miles an hour. Now, the lightning count is still quite significant. St. Cloud, Kissimmee, down the turnpike continues to be a bad situation there. So still some heavy rainfall, and parts of this area are under the flood advisory. So I want to take a second before we might get additional special weather statements to talk a few key details here. First is that 55 mile an hour wind at the OIA, right? So this was at 4:01, and this is why they issued the severe thunderstorm warning. So this is a local storm report from OIA of a 55 mile an hour wind. That's why we had, right at the top of the hour at 4 o'clock, that's why we had the severe thunderstorm warning right as I was coming on. There actually is an excessive rainfall risk for today as well, all right? This is the area in green. Believe it or not, we've had some flood advisories, but anywhere in green is under what's called a marginal risk for excessive rainfall. So basically flooding is a possibility. Again, it doesn't include the I-95 corridor. It doesn't include the extreme immediate west coast, but everyone else is basically under that risk. Now, again, it's a broad brush look. Not everyone's going to get that, but we have had a couple of flood advisories up. So I'm going to switch over to our advisories right now. Now, the heat advisory is still in effect. So you're going to see all of the areas in orange here. But when I click on Orange County, we can look at this heated flood advisory for you guys. Again, it goes until 6 o'clock, and it's for 2 different areas, okay? It's for South Central Seminole and it's for south central Orange County. So two distinct areas of heavy rain that have already had 1 to 3 with an additional 2 inches. So 3 to 5 inches. Some of those areas are Orlando, Winter Park, Castleberry, Maitland, Azalea Park, Conway, Goldenrod, Union Park, Executive Airport, downtown Orlando, Lake Nona, Lake Hart, Lake Fern, or Fern Park, excuse me, Eatonville, and the Aloma areas. Again, minor flooding, low-lying, poor drainage areas. Hopefully, with the fact that when I go back over to the radar presentation, that a lot of this area has seen the rain fall apart in the latter half of the 4 o'clock area. Hopefully, any water level rises we had have been exacerbated, gone by the wayside. Hopefully, we didn't have any water over roadways, but when you get a quick 2 to 3, 5 inches of rain, that can happen. But it's good to see that, you know, this flood advisory is still in effect, but a lot of those areas where the flood advisory is in effect for do not have the most significant rain right now. So at least it's not still coming down in those spots. So the new special weather statement was just issued as we were talking for continuing the southern part of this cell as it works its way deeper into Osceola County. Of course, when we get this far south, you start to get out of the more urban areas and into more rural areas. Lake Kissimmee will be included in this. Now, again, the turnpike is still right here in this area. If you have any interest in the turnpike, this storm could be slipping west towards 27, towards Dundee and Lake Wales and Davenport and Haines City, where, again, that thunderstorm is still going pretty rowdy at this point in time. And this storm just continues to try and sneak north, basically bracketing 75 and then building north along that line with additional spotty activity that's picking up a bit over Marion, portions of Sumter, and Lake counties as well. All right, back into the chat. I hear you. You only have to ask me once. Tavares. You got the thunderstorm right here over you, and that storm is likely. Let me switch over to, that's a really bad presentation from the Orlando radar. See what the Tampa radar shows here. A little bit better shot. So right over the Tavares area, you do have a decent storm, 30 lightning strikes, and it is moving north and west right over the Tavares area. So again, this activity I would anticipate to kind of drive right over Tavares and Bassville Park. Some of the southern flank could build a little bit farther west. So as far south as Yohala and the Leesburg area likely to be impacted. But this storm, which does have 30 lightning strikes with it, coming out of Mount Dora and right over Tavares. I don't see any hail out of it. There is not a special weather statement. The winds could probably gust 30 plus miles an hour in Tavares. Good downpours. I would stay inside for a little while, but hopefully here at about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes at most, that cell, because it's kind of all by its lonesome, is through Tavares and get back on with your business. Hopefully that answered your question. Question about Point Siena. Again, back down into Osceola County here. Sorry, let me get my bearings here. Where the hell is Point Siena on this map? Why isn't Point Siena showing up? I'll have to look into that. Unless I'm just completely out of my mind of where Point Siena is. Huh. That's a new one for me. If it's not there, I'll add it. And tell me I'm looking at the right spot for Point Siena. Again, I say I'm about 90 for all of Central Florida. You can tell me a city and I'm about 98% to be able to zoom right into it. I'm just looking on the map here real quick myself. Is it closer to Kissimmee and I'm just missing it here? Yeah, Loftman. It's just not on the map for some reason. And I don't know why, but I promise I'll add it. So here's the Kissimmee area, or the Point Siena area right here. So I will add it. You are under the special weather statement. The cell is actually worse just south of you right now. So still a lot of lightning near Point Siena. Still going to be some moderate rain with lightning, but the worst part of that cell is now south and west of you. I would be a little bit more concerned farther south and west. That cell is beginning to ramp up in intensity. You can see the outflow with it. If it tries to move due west, it's going to try and get to the southern sides of Haines City and Dundee and Polk County instead. But everything, again, is kind of drifting right now more south and west. Again, up here, San Antonio, Dade City, back towards Ridge Manor, east of Brooksville. Basically, 75 is not going to be a fun drive out of the Tampa area right now. Taking 75 all the way up to nearly Sumter County, it's just wet and stormy. The rain has faded a bit. Again, we are looking from the Tampa radar right now, so this rain has dissipated over MacDill and downtown Tampa, in Ybor City. Town and Country looks pretty good. Carrollwood, up the Veterans Expressway towards Citrus Park. Things are improving here. So unfortunately for our friends in Pinellas County, if you were looking for some of this heavy activity to get that far west, it just didn't quite do it. This storm has broken apart into two pieces right now. Southern flank back down here towards Wakulla, moving kind of south, and then the northern flank is just kind of building to the north at this point in time. By the way, just for reference, there's likely some hail being produced out of this particular part of the storm. It's still kind of out there rurally right now, but again, hopefully it doesn't want to push due west and get back into some of the more urban areas of 27. However, if you do live in Lake Wales, I would also be concerned about the storm trying to make a run into your area too. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Look, I knew where it was, but it surprised me. It just didn't pop up on my map like that as well. But we will remedy that for next time, I promise. Again, appreciate everyone coming into the chat, A, helping me out when I need it, and B, letting me know what's happening in your area. My husband works at Narcoossee Middle School in St. Cloud, a rainy day dismissal for sure. Yeah, a lot of 30-30 rules, I'm sure, were in effect for the Metro Orlando and greater Central Florida schools for today. Again, most school districts back in session. I don't know if every single county was back in session this week, but the majority of them were. And those thunderstorms, it was just a bad timing here to move through. By the way, up in Putnam County, they're just firing off special weather statements here. And these could make a run into portions of Marion County, maybe the far northwest sides of Volusia County as well. Something to watch out for here. They're not overtly strong storms, 40-mile-an-hour winds, but there's 3 of them that they've issued with that entire line. And additional activity is developing out ahead of that, and it's beginning to get a little bit rowdier there as well. Ocala, Bellevue, Wildwood, the Villages, Lake Pan, nothing too concentrated, but the radar is beginning to light up a little bit more here in portions of our northwest areas. And even this cell here is just continuing to fill in over the Haines City area. Again, they're not going to issue a special weather statement for lightning, but Lake Alfred North right now, 270 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes in a pretty tight view. Appreciate that. Thanks. Getting really dark here in Poinciana with a lot of lighting. Ton of lightning there indeed. Hello, Reach the Masses. Lakeland says, I'm glad I just found you. I'm sharing you out because I went through a heck of a thunder boomer here while driving North Lakeland on 98th. I appreciate you finding the channel. Thanks for taking a second and letting me know that you found it and that you enjoy what you're seeing and you're sharing it with your family and friends. I do appreciate that. Again, you guys are the reason why I do this channel, and the reason why Reach the Masses Lakeland saw this channel, I promise you, on their homepage of YouTube is because of the interaction you guys are giving this channel. The more that you guys interact by liking, by subscribing, by jumping into the chat, the more YouTube thinks, hey, if people who are watching this channel are getting something out of it, we're going to suggest this to more who don't even know it exists. So we appreciate our first subscriber to our last subscriber. And again, thanks for making a fantastic community. Remember, this is a live-only channel. I'm only on where there's impactful weather across Central Florida. You're not going to get forecast videos from me. You can get that anywhere, but this is Central Florida's live-only weather channel. We have our technology. We have our live camera network. We continue to grow that as well. And the most important thing is we have you guys. And this doesn't work without your interaction, without you guys jumping into the chat. So I appreciate all of our moderators. I do appreciate our members as well. You want to support the channel in that way. The memberships are open. Appreciate all of those who give via super thanks and super chats as well. I want to welcome Bam 8467 to the Storm Squad. So let's get the hearts out in chat for Bam being the newest member of CFLW, bam, you now have access to exclusive badges and emojis during these live streams and exclusive member content, short videos in between these live streams I'll produce for our members from time to time, letting everyone know about what might be happening when the next time might be on, or what the next impactful weather will be as well. So again, appreciate Jerry, appreciate PevMets and BAM for their fan funding during this live stream. Thank you very much. And Amy's out there sending you guys the link. Appreciate Amy. Light rain has reached Clearwater. I'm glad it's moved that far west. And again, you're just going to see a lot of, the other great thing about the channel too is we've now automated all of the advisories and watches and warnings. Of course, I always get into those, but all that information will appear on your screen as well. So hopefully you're appreciating the presentation part of the channel as well. Yeah, I would assume for Clearwater, missing you a bit. Now look, there's still even just a few little lightning strikes here over the northwest sides of the bays, moving across Howard Franklin right now. Just a little bit of lightning. But for the most part, it's back out of Pasco County. It's built north into Hernando, but then you have all this stuff up here into Sumter County as well. And it's all just really kind of spotty for the most part here. I'm going to go back over to the Melbourne radar. Again, the cell that was out by its lonesome, pulsed up, produced a little bit of rain and lightning, died back down. Again, off towards the east, we're likely not to have a ton of development today in Brevard, Coastal Volusia, and Flagler counties. Again, could get close, but some of this activity will be trying to push off towards the west. This is some pretty gnarly stuff right here. This is some good thunderstorms, western Flagler, Putnam counties. Now, 4 special weather statements out of this. Now, you guys know I can look at any of the radars. Really, the Jacksonville radar will probably show. So, by the way, if you do happen to be tuning in from southern Georgia or the I-10 corridor of our area, I know we have some folks who tune in from Tallahassee to Lake City. Those storms in South Georgia near Valdosta, they're going to try and make a run towards I-10 a little bit later on today. 4, now two of them are going to expire, but 4 different special weather statements for this cluster of storms right now. The worst situation for this area is they're not moving fast. Southwest at 7. So that's some really heavy rain being produced out of that and some winds of up to 40. But we'll see how this plays out at 5:14. If it can slip into portions of either northwest Volusia, maybe even northeast Lake and the eastern sides of Marion County. But for right now, a little bit farther to the north and to the east than central Florida. Still have some spots of rain and storms developing from Ocala back to the south and to the east. But that's what it looks like for the Jacksonville radar. So we have 3 different radars I can use here. We can look at them individually, Melbourne, Tampa, and Jacksonville. And the Tampa radar is located in Ruskin. Or I can look at them as a composite. We can look at reflectivity, at times of their strong winds or any rotation, any severe storms that could be tornadic. We can look at the velocity product, the wind profile, and all of that. And if you guys don't know who I am, I was a television meteorologist for 25 years, including 10 years here in Orlando and 7 in Oklahoma City. I am a Florida native. I was born and raised in Crystal River in Citrus County. Traveled across the country forecasting for various local TV stations for 25 years. Came back to Florida in 2013. We've been doing some digital content since 2013. This channel began in early 2025, I believe. So again, just appreciate everyone. But I am a Florida native. I know our weather. I've been through the hurricanes. I've been through the storms. I know the sea breeze activity here. So, you know, hopefully, again, that part of who I am and what I've done and my experiences coming through with this, but love to talk to these storms and walk you guys through these on a daily basis. Question about Spring Hill, getting some of this up in Hernando County. I don't know. It's going to be really close. Again, the activity here for the most part has basically gone north up 75. Now, there's still going to be, again, when these storms aren't built up high and they're not strong, the winds at the lower levels right now are very weak and erratic. The storms have to actually get taller vertically in the atmosphere to be picked up by the easterly winds out of the mid-levels to push them west. That's why you've seen the strongest storms pick up and move west, and everything else has just been kind of all over the place. Again, slow, erratic movement. So no, there's not a guarantee that Spring Hill is going to get anything out of this because this cell actually looks like it's dying down a bit. My best guess, if you will, would be that this rains itself out across 75. Now, additional cells east of here could still redevelop and make a run back into the coastal and central sides of Hernando County. But with this closest activity, likely not. Starting to get some rain in Davenport. I appreciate that. Thank you, Edgar. Appreciate the kind words. Jerry says, yeah, it looks pretty serious. Who was that? That was Amy. And then Jerry says, Montverde here, getting kind of dark. You can hear the thunder, but that's about it. Yeah, the bark is worse than the bite over the western sides of Orange County and Lake County. Certainly could hear some rumbles of thunder here and there. Now, if you live as far west as Groveland and Mascot, you are getting some of that activity. And likely, Jerry, you're hearing some of those thunderstorms in the distance off towards your west. Again, for the most part, guys, you have to look east of you to where you might get some storms. It is interesting to see, though, how nicely, if you will, the radar has really begun to fill in our northwest areas. These storms are becoming stronger. This is an area of an untapped atmosphere right now. We had daytime highs in the mid and the upper 90s, right? Still pretty hot outside right now, but these are storms that these are areas of Central Florida that have not had storms today, so they're still unstable. My point is that temperatures in the Orlando area right now are likely to be rain cool back into the 70s. They are 75 in Orlando. So it'll be really hard for an intense storm to redevelop under overcast skies and 75 degrees. But other areas north and west, like Inverness, are still at 95. It's still 97 in Ocala. Now, that's the last report at 5 o'clock, but you get the idea. Hot conditions still at 5 o'clock. A lot of surface heating is going to aid in the thunderstorm development here. So I do believe this is the next area to fill in. We'll see just how strong it's going to end up getting. But I-4 and east right now, the sea breeze is done, so not likely to see more rain across the east coast. And for Orange and Seminole counties, the strong storms and severe storms that came through earlier have quieted down the atmosphere a lot more stable here. Same situation over portions of Hillsborough and Pinellas counties. More overcast skies here, temperatures 70s and lower 80s, so we've had some rain and storms. This area is not as stable as Orlando, but again, to get the heaviest of storms back into the heart of Tampa could be a little bit trickier right now with the environment not being as conducive for quick development. All the way down in Sebring coming in, saying watching really big and dark clouds coming from the west. Good evening to everyone. Well, I appreciate you there, Crafty. Thank you for jumping in too. Hello, Amy8879. All of my Amy's are in the chat today, and I hope everyone's doing well. Question about Bradenton from Pat. Are we going to get some rain down there? It's an opportunity, Pat, but this little cell north of you is trying to get towards Bradenton, but if it does, I think it's just really light rain. You might hear more rumbles of thunder than the amount of raindrops that you get. So unfortunately for Bradenton, I would expect there to be a limited opportunity in the short term. We would have to see the activity that's well inland right now kind of propagate back off towards the west. But remember, these storms are one, moving slowly, and two, it's 5:20. We're still going to have about 3 hours of storm potential, but there is, the opportunity that these cells can weaken as we move into the latter part of this afternoon and to this evening. Now, the areas that I mentioned for the next pulse up of storms, here you go. New special weather statement over Marion County, including Ocala and Bellevue. That's a pretty solid storm. Winds of potentially 50 miles an hour. So my friends in the Ocala area, here we go. Southwest at 5, again, west movement, but slow as these storms begin to develop. As they mature, they should pick up forward speed out of the west. Ocala, Juniper Springs, Lynn, Weirsdale, the village of Briar Meadow, Ocklawaha, Moss Bluff, Silver Spring Shores, Lake Weir, and the Santos area, all included within this next special weather statement for winds of up to 50 miles an hour. Goes all the way until 6 o'clock. Additional stronger storms developing over Lake Pan and Wildwood in the villages. So again, this is our next area to see some of the stronger activity develop across Central Florida. We'll see how this kind of plays out for the western sides of Lake County and the rest of Sumter County as well. We still have our special weather statement until 5:30 for Osceola County, basically Lake Kissimmee, Poinciana kind of on the northwest side of that. But again, we've rained ourselves out through a lot of the actual special weather statement, and the worst weather is now actually back west into Polk County, Davenport, Haines City, Lake Alfred, Polk City, right along I-4. Going to be some heavy rain there. Good amount of lightning. Again, 430 lightning strikes in this view in just the past 15 minutes. Mount Dora had a bunch of rain. Appreciate you letting me know. Again, there still is a flood advisory for portions of Seminole and Orange counties until 6 o'clock. You're welcome, Julio, about Spring Hill. All right, friends. We doing good? Everyone well? Appreciate you tuning in on this now Friday late afternoon. I think we hit 6 o'clock. I'll call it early evening here. Again, the setup for today is sea breeze interaction, extreme heat, thunderstorms that have become prolific lightning producers. Still over 1,500 lightning strikes in our default view here over the last 15 minutes. What do you say we take a tour of our camera network here? I think it's always a cool thing to do if you're new to the channel. So I'm going to bring up some of our different views here, and we'll just get started on that as I continue to monitor the situation. Again, if you live in Orlando, I like the trend. The trend is our friend. There will still be some lightning strikes and some rain on the western side of the metro, but heavy downpours, special weather statement criteria, likely to not be the case. Again, special weather statement storm in Osceola County, new special weather statement storm in the strongest in our area over in Marion County, with additional cells developing right down the spine of 301 and 75 into Sumter County, sneaking into the far western sides of Lake County. And then some of the activity, again, has kind of rained itself out a bit over portions of Hillsborough, Pinellas, and the northern sides of Manatee. Some stronger storms, western Osceola and portions of Polk County, and it's intermittent activity right now for the eastern sides of Pasco and Hernando. Our east coast or I-95 US 1 A1A corridor likely going to be relatively quiet for today. And again, our live camera network showing the Conway cam even has a little bit of blue sky. Conway cam is looking east, back towards the east coast, and that's why you're having a little bit of blue sky there. We flipped the script with the Winter Garden camera, and again, when you look west from Winter Garden, still some turbulence in the atmosphere, right? Again, even in the western sides of Orange County, I know it's relatively quiet, but there could still be some rumbles of thunder and some bolts of lightning underneath some of this activity. It's not completely all clear. Remember, when thunder roars, you head indoors. I say it all the time, but again, try to give yourself about 30 minutes between the last rumble of thunder and getting back out. That's what I would do. That would be my suggestion. Give yourself about 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes between the last rumble of thunder and getting back out in your area. I appreciate that, Pat. DHeart9988 says, glad I found your channel, and I appreciate those kind words. I mean, Alex, I'll keep an eye on that storm in Palm Coast. Again, as these storms develop, they're likely, he's asking about Palm Coast, by the way, as these storms develop, they're likely to try and slip a little bit east, but there's not a lot of wind in the atmosphere that's going to try and push them too far to the east. So as long as you have a bit of a buffer right now, I feel pretty good about the fact that Palm Coast isn't going to get the majority of the storms. I know they're close. If you always want to be safe, look, I'm never going to tell you what to do, right? That is your responsibility in your business. But if you want to, play it safe side, let them know. But I'm not anticipating the brunt of that activity, which is west of Palm Coast, to make its way there. Look, if the Weather Service thought there was going to be an east movement to these polygons, they would be east, but they're actually slowly south and west. And I agree with that as these storms get stronger, there's going to be a little bit more of a west push. steady on and off rain there, Winston, since 4 o'clock. No, your comments are showing up, Alex. It takes some time for me to get into them. And again, our moderators in the chat can try and answer some of the questions based on what I'm seeing. When I am deep diving into storms, I'm focused more on this. I will get into the chat as much as I possibly can, though. Again, all of the information with our now 5 different special weather statements are scrolling at the bottom of your screen. 2 for the heart of Central Florida, including Marion and Osceola counties. I do expect this special weather statement in Osceola County to go bye-bye at 5:30. You can clearly see the outflow boundary. If you happen to live in the southern sides of Osceola County, Polk County as well, frost-proof down to Yeehaw Junction, that boundary, your outflow boundary is coming through, push of cooler air, wind shift change, additional storms can develop along that. You can clearly see that outflow there. And again, some stronger storms just west of Sebring and Avon Park. But the same situation for Palm Coast is in effect for Sebring and Avon Park, right? These storms are close, but likely as they begin to pulse up, they're going to push back west more than anything. And again, the newest and most impactful weather right now is up in Marion County. Special weather statement, Ocala, Silver Springs, Bellevue. Let's track this for you guys. Ocala, about 536 for the worst weather. But it's not moving quickly. Again, that's based on at 5-mile-an-hour movement. I could do another track here. Let's do another track real quick. Kind of like this. Southwest at 5. Boy, yeah, you're not going to get a lot. In Bellevue, 532, so about 4 minutes. So the storm has built a little bit farther south and east, where now Bellevue is included in this. By the way, we've got some high school football games tonight, don't we? Something else I want to think about as well. I believe it is, if it's not Jamboree, is it the first actual regular season game, or are we still kind of in preseason? Or the Jamborees? I do believe I saw that. Because every so often I'll look at Crystal River's schedule. I always look at Crystal River's schedule to see if they're playing, because I live in the Orlando area, if they're playing a team close, because then I might make the drive just to check out the old alma mater there. But I believe they had a game tonight, but it might have been their Jamboree. But anyway, the bottom line is, if for some reason, I know they do, because I believe my 11-year-old is supposed to join neighbors to go to a game here in Orlando. Again, it might be just a Jamboree kind of preseason thing, but Friday night lights are likely in effect here through Central Florida, and the lightning is going to be a problem with some of that. So keep that in mind too. You're welcome, Alice Loves Jesus. And the comment was, starting to get dark in Ocala near Bellevue. Yep. Thank you for letting me know. Again, that's perfect. I'm talking about Bellevue, talking about that storm coming in. Someone who lives in Bellevue jumps in the chat and says, Rusty, you're right. You're on it. I don't mind you saying, Rusty, I haven't seen it, or, what are you talking about? All that too. Again, wisdom of the crowd scenario here at CFLW. Live only channel, Central Florida's live only channel for weather. I appreciate you guys tuning in. And again, you guys are a big part of this. Look like I was an elite running back. Believe it or not, well, I never played organized football, but I did go to UF, and I did do intramural flag football, and I was actually quarterback. I actually have a pretty good arm, believe it or not. Pretty good speed as well. Not an elite athlete at any time. My main sport was actually soccer. And I did get some offers for some smaller schools, but UF, and I believe still UF does not have a men's soccer program. And when I went to school there, they actually had just started their women's program. But I chose to go to a larger university rather than a smaller school. So I gave up the dream of being a D3 soccer player. Just saw some wicked lightning. Yep, I bet you have. Again, that's up in Bellevue. That's up in Marion County. By the way, my friends in the Villages, pretty good storm. You're just on the edge of the Villages. Remember, the map where it says the Villages doesn't really matter anymore, because the Villages is like 50% of Central Florida. So kind of depending on where you are right now. Are you north of 44 in the villages? Are you south of 44? That's one of the landmarks. Are you east of 301? For the most part, the villages is, but you get the idea, right? And this is always a bad area for driving, where the turnpike meets 75 and the 44 interchange and the 301 north. It always slows down in this spot. You have a significant storm right over the Wildwood area. 70 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes here. So that's a rowdy storm just south of the special weather statement. But again, you can clearly see how this radar has filled in. This is just the last half hour. Watch that radar just get more and more prolific in just a half hour's time. Again, light rain continuing with a few rumbles of thunder over the Metro Orlando area. Our cameras are covering that. They did allow the special weather statement to expire in Osceola County. That is not surprising. That storm, if anything, is now pushing more due west, but it will likely get over portions of Lakeland, especially Auburndale, Winter Haven, east of Lakeland. We're going to get some decent storms there, then from Lake Wales up to Haines City. Light rain coming over portions of Tampa right now. Sometimes this is actually falling. Sometimes it's just moisture in the atmosphere. A little bit better shot of that from the Tampa radar. So we were looking at the Melbourne radar. Let me bring up Tampa instead. It probably was not happy with me that I made the switch while putting it into motion. That's probably my fault. So you can just see that light rain. It's not going to add up to much. But again, if you live in Western Hillsborough, Pinellas County, let me know if you're seeing some of the sprinkles. St. Pete, Clearwater, Town and Country up towards Carrollwood. And again, those storms just continue to get stronger the farther north you go up 75. Still have now 3 different special weather statements. Mainly up here, again, one of them does sneak into Flagler County. But it's just south and west for the most part here. That particular one is Western Flagler, Southeast Putnam. And then the farthest west one is for Marion and West Central Putnam. So that little corner sneaks into Marion County. But again, up in that area, relatively rural parts of Central Florida. Referee have a game in Haines City. Yeah, yeah. What is it, 5:30? Let's get that storm out of there for you. I'm glad I'm assuming kickoff is 7 or 7:30, right? Hopefully by 6:30 that's out of there. Appreciate you letting me know. Where were we here? Kickoff Classic? What did I miss? Oh, Dinar about Kickoff Classics? Okay, excellent. Yeah, so sometimes when I jump into the chat, I'm seeing like the third in the string of the chat, and then I'm actually working my way back. Because generally speaking, I start with the most recent comment and work my way down, and sometimes that's really bad when we're talking about a series of comments, so I can miss some things, but appreciate you letting me know about that, and good luck with that game. I hope it gets played. Boy, Larry, I bet you did. Talking about the humidity this week, brutal humidity across Central Florida. Again, part of the reason why we had these storms today was just that it was 97, 98 degrees in some areas for daytime highs. The heating of the surface aids in some of that thunderstorm activity. Winter Garden, looking back to the west. Now we're starting to see even more some of the thunderstorms that have developed here into far western sides of Lake County and the eastern sides of Sumter County. Again, not a ton, right? But where they're lining up, they're getting a little bit stronger. And also, that being said, I do expect there to be the opportunity that some of these storms will linger in this area for a time, right? And then push their way slowly off to the west. But clearly, those storms have evolved and gotten stronger in the last half hour. We can see that from the Winter Garden camera, the lower bases to everything right now. Again, just looking right along the horizon. And in western Orange County, it's a lot of gray overcast, still a few rumbles of thunder from time to time. However, if you do have evening plans, and that does include a football game in Orange County, I don't expect there to be any redevelopment east. I don't want to give the complete all clear yet, but I'm optimistic about any football games going on this evening or any outdoor plans. Maybe you're headed to the attractions, to the fireworks, or just getting out for a Friday evening date in the Orlando area. Look pretty good. Same situation for Tampa in the short term. The only concern that I would have for Tampa is some of this activity that is still east of you could still try and make a run back into Hillsborough and Pinellas and Manatee and Sarasota counties. But because we've already had some rain here and because it's already, stabilized the atmosphere a bit, likely as these storms try to come through, they lose a bit of their punch as they did. Just double check these winds for you guys too here. Happy Embroidery asks, which way is it headed in Newport Richey? Everything is moving west for the most part, right? Now, again, up in the Newport Richey area, a lot of this activity is fading away. So the problem is as you see this activity east of you, this is beginning to dissipate. And while there might be some light rain and some gusty winds, you might get the gust front and the outflow boundary from it. You can see that the St. Pete Airport had a 30-mile-an-hour wind recently. You're not likely to get a ton of rain out of it. And the lightning count, if I zoom in even a little bit more here, the lightning count is 0. So this is just some overcast skies, some gusty winds up to 30 miles an hour, and very, very light rain. That's be the most that I expect out of the near-term activity near Newport Richey. Is Claremont going to stay clear? Probably so. Probably so. The activity here in Orange County is kind of a buffer. Now, the only situation would be, can this cell, as it's still developing, get as far east as Claremont? Likely not. Groveland, it could. Could it get back to 1933 there in the Groveland area? It's already close. I doubt this storm can backbuild that far enough east. And this is just kind of overcast light rain here in Claremont. So yes, generally speaking, I do expect Claremont to be in the clear. Again, you'd have to look for additional stronger activity east of you. And based on what I'm seeing right now, I don't expect that to happen in Orange County. It's still bad weather up here in Ocala and Bellevue. For anyone who does live in Bellevue, we are picking up at least the opportunity for some hail. Special weather statement's not talking about hail, but sometimes we can still get some hail-producing storms out of this. Half-inch size. Wouldn't be significant hail size, wouldn't be damaging hail size, but if you catch some pea-sized hail or slightly higher than that in the Bellevue area, it's certainly possible here over the next 15 to 20 minutes as this cluster of storms, which has kind of extended even farther to the east again initially, is slowly progressing south and west. But the vast majority of the worst weather with this is still east of 75. And again, it's kind of beginning to merge with some of the activity in northern Sumter and northwest sides of Lake County. Recently, Leesburg has had a 31-mile-an-hour wind, about 40 minutes ago or so. So there is some outflows being produced out of this, just like we saw in St. Pete, just like we're seeing in Leesburg, outside of any main concentration of activity, where we're getting wind gusts of over 30 miles an hour. If this is a true statement, I wish you the best in the wars to come. Stay safe. Restricted says near Wildwood and the lightning is insane. Yeah, this is the storm that's picking up right now. 250 lightning strikes. If I zoom out over here, it's even more. Just from this view right now, including Ocala, 360 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes. These are healthy storms in our northwest areas right now. They've really pulsed up pretty quickly in the last half hour. Thank you for the report. Oh, wow, 103, okay. I was looking at the models today and I thought Orlando could get to 99. I haven't had a chance to look at the official report, but Orlando 99 probably hit that. Yeah, it's rough, guys. Yeah, again, if you're tuning in, thanks for taking a quick second, hit the like button. Thank you for subscribing. Appreciate all of our members. Appreciate all of those who have supported the channel during the live stream. Jerry with his $2 super chat. PebMets with a $10 super chat as well, and Bam 8467 being the newest member of the Storm Squad. Again, a live only channel. I'm only on when there's impactful weather across Central Florida. That can be our daily sea breeze storms. That could be tropical weather. Some of you have joined me from the times of tracking Helene and Milton across Central Florida. Those will be long duration live streams when we have those, but we have our live camera network. We continue to expand our technology. We continue to refine here on the channel. And again, I hope you guys are getting a lot out of this. Should be a unique presentation for the weather here in Central Florida. And I do appreciate you guys thinking enough of the channel. Again, I can't stress this enough. Let me come back on. When I have these important, Shakespearean things to say, I seem to always go to a camera instead. I do appreciate you guys thinking enough about this channel to spend part of your day with me. I don't take your time lightly. So again, thank you very much for finding enough out of this channel to say, hey, look, I'm going to spend part of my Friday with Rusty and see what's happening with this weather. I know it's a cool thing too, right? And again, maybe you're not tuning in from Florida. Maybe you're tuning in across the country, across the Caribbean. We have some folks who tune in from the UK. It's always interesting to find out where folks have been tuning in from, even if they don't jump into the chat. Some folks have tuned in from Europe, Italy, and France and all of that. It's really cool to see. And from Asia as well. Not many, and not sticking around for very long, but some do. Yeah, the Sumter County Sheriff's Office getting that thunder moving in, I would assume so. Appreciate that, KP. Timmy has nothing but time. Oh, I would trade some of that. Sometimes I feel like I have some time, and the next thing you know, I get a day like today where it's just been, going on pretty significantly. If you guys don't know, I have a second channel called Media Mundo, which you can find a link to the description below. It is a channel for the Caribbean and the Bahamas. So there's a couple of now invest areas in the Atlantic. So I just produced a video for that, and literally as I got done with that, jumped right on this channel. So when both channels are quite active on a daily basis, it can be quite busy because producing those videos takes hours ahead of time. Again, trying to make it as best as we possibly can on that channel as well. David, good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. In Ocala, lightning pretty bad towards Bellevue. Yeah, rowdy storm up here, guys. SLCs, 50-mile-an-hour winds. If anyone's had some damaging winds or at least some stronger gusts, let me know. Those kinds of winds can easily knock down tree limbs. You can get power outages out of this. If you have lightweight unsecured objects in the yard, it can knock those around, like lightweight plastic, outdoor furniture. Things like that can be blown around from this, and a tremendous amount of lightning being produced out of this cell. And again, it's not moving very quickly. We've been watching this storm now for about 20 minutes, and it does not appear like it's really moved much. Again, the counter is ticking live for you guys. This is the live radar. It's not we didn't go back in time here, but it just has not moved. But again, it hasn't moved east either. So folks east of these storms, unless you are right within about a mile, Mascot, Leesburg, Fruitland Park, 27, it's close. Could that cell backbuild a little bit east towards Lady Lake before it comes through? It's a possibility, but anywhere east of there should be just fine. This storm is still going pretty good. Polk City, Winter Haven, back down towards Lake Wales. It has rained itself out through the most of Osceola County. And again, it continues to build south and west, staying away right now from Sebring and Lake Placid and staying just west of there. Hello, Beach Girl for real. Good to see you. Question about Beverly Hills. Again, we'll have to see how this plays out with the storms that are east of you right now in Beverly Hills. Let me take that off the screen. So again, as these storms try and move into Citrus County, we'll watch if they hold together or if they want to just kind of rain themselves out before they get deeper into Citrus County. So appreciate you asking the question. I'll be monitoring it for you. Again, right now, if we look on the kind of the western extent of the special weather statement, west of 75, not much is built in here. It's still basically east of 75. So there has not been a lot of movement so far with this activity. Now we're getting towards 6 o'clock. How deep into this Friday evening can these storms linger? They just issued a severe thunderstorm warning. So for everyone up here in Ocala who have been jumping into the chat saying, Rusty, it's not good, you're right on it. Severe thunderstorm warning is now in effect for Marion County. Now we get into a problem. Do you guys see the hail size on your screen? Inch-sized hail. Quarters. Quarter-sized hail. Not good. That is damaging hail. Let me give you the details on the new severe thunderstorm warning. Goes until 6:30. Here's the problem, guys. 45 minutes of a severe thunderstorm warning in a couple miles. This storm is trickling south and west at 6. So over an hour, it is likely to move just 6 miles. Going to be a not fantastic situation for Ocala. North side of Ocala, right up there, 441, 301. That's a hail core. Inch-sized hail. Let me give you the details, the bulletin. By the way, some of this information is scrolling down below as well. Severe thunderstorm warning for central Marion County until 6:30. A severe thunderstorm over Ocala moving southwest at 5, 60s and quarters. Again, now you see the impacts kicked up several notches. Hail damage to vehicles expected. Yes, indeed. Again, I worked in Oklahoma City for 7 years. My car was destroyed twice by hail. Now, they were softball-sized hail. We're not going to see that here in Central Florida, but quarter-sized hail can cause damage to roofs and to cars, okay? So roofs, siding, and trees with inch-size hail. If you live in this area, I wish you had a moment to get out and get the car indoors if you can, but I wouldn't suggest it with all the lightning in play. I think it is what it is right now in this area. Where are we looking from this storm? I switched over to Jacksonville. Probably still the best view of this particular storm. Ocala is far away from all radar sites. It is one of the issues. But again, if I put this into motion, I mean, let's talk about where this hail core is and where it's moving. So now, again, with my system, we can get down to street level mapping, right? I'm just going to go big view. We're going to get rid of the cameras for just a second. Oops. That was the wrong button. Give me 1 second here, guys. So if I zoom in here, this is the hail core path projected, right? So if you live in these areas, you might have an idea. Now, I'm not going to spend a ton of time putting on the city street names, but just to show you guys what we can do here. If I bring this up, so we can label the roads. Now, why is this important? Well, this would be important if we had a tornado warning, right? So, and again, even I have to get used to this a little bit. See, I should have to drag it out. Anyway, you get the idea. I just wanted to show you guys this, right? That when necessary, if we have let's just drag this label. There we go. It's a relatively good system, but it still has its quirks. Anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that Northwest 35th Street in Ocala, hammer time right there. Big time hail core. Anyone lives in that area and anyone knows that area. Down to Northeast 20th. There's Northeast 8. There's Highway 27, right? So when we need to, and we need to get into street level mapping, especially during times of tornado warnings, we can do that. But this hail is a situation as well where maybe we need to do that. Again, if I zoom in a little bit more, MLK. So I can roll over these names as well. There's Northeast 16th. And then if I need to add them to the map, I can also add them to the map. All right, so again, getting super ugly here in Bellevue High School. Appreciate that. Yeah, again, guys, if you want information on the actual warnings, everything is down below. Graphic system will keep up when there's a severe thunderstorm warning the entire time. So you know what county, and then you'll get all of the details down below. And of course, you know, I'm going to be on these storms myself as well. But there's a lot of different ways to get this information. Now, again, huge storm here. Big time hail core down here as well. Southeast 130th Street. So far southeast, like 130th. Hail core there. Down 301. All right. Let me just clear all of those. But I want to give you guys an idea that when it's necessary, I can jump on and do that. This has gotten bad. This is a bad storm over a lot of Marion County. They should probably issue a severe thunderstorm warning for Bellevue as well. My radar is picking up inch-sized hail over Bellevue too. If you live south and west of these areas and you're not in the lightning, find a way to get that car inside if you can. Again, you know, don't take extreme measures, but this is the first storm today that has pulsed up enough to produce the opportunity for some damaging hail. And that hail core, regardless of where the actual severe thunderstorm warning is also over the Bellevue area. So Bellevue, a break in the action, another hail core over Ocala. I do have a couple of different products here on the radar. We can look at the hail. So this first product that you're looking at is the mean estimated hail size. It's a algorithm derivative, right? But they've issued for inch-size hail, and my radar is picking up inch-size hail on the northern side of Ocala. So in these spots, it's the same areas that I just zoomed in and mentioned. As I talked about it, look at this hail core down here, outside of the severe thunderstorm warning. South side of Bellevue, again, you get 3/4 inch size hail. 0.88 is nickel. So 0.88 nickel sized hail, 1 inch quarter. You get to 0.88, the nickel size is kind of the line between non-damaging and damaging hail. 0.75 is penny sized hail, so it's all coin size is what I call it. But you get into the quarters, and that's when you start to have the problem. But there are multiple hail cores within this special weather statement, and some of them outside where we actually have the severe thunderstorm warning. Okay, so again, 2 big hail cores right now, or really 3, 1 south and east of Bellevue. This is a problem if this hail core holds together, because it's going to try and slowly trickle into Bellevue and across 301. And then on the northern sides of Ocala, some potentially inch-sized hail to go along with it. And again, you know, hopefully these storms rain themselves out before they get into Marion County. But there are additional stronger storms knocking on the doorstep there. Again, we're looking from the Jacksonville radar. I'm going to go back over to Melbourne, keeping an eye on the rest of our area. Trend is good in Orlando. Storms to the south look pretty good. It is still lighter rain here in Tampa. We'll switch over to the Tampa radar. Very light rain. We can handle this. Still a few rumbles of thunder, but that would be about it. Dade City, and then things just start picking up from there, especially Bushnell North. Villages, Wildwood, Coleman, Lake Pan, starting to get into some of that activity. Look at this hail core here, developing. 1/2 inch size hail right now, but could be beginning to spark up a bit. So far, eastern sides of Citrus County. That storm as it slowly pushes south and west. We'll have to monitor the situation there for places like Inverness and Floral City. Kind of a donut hole gap of the villages right now. But certainly concern for our severe thunderstorm warning up in Ocala. Again, it was issued for 45 minutes till 6:30. There's still 33 minutes to go, and the storm hasn't moved. So if anyone is in the chat right now, let me know who has seen some of this worse weather. If you've seen any hail for sure, I would love to hear from you guys. Bob's getting some thunder and lightning there in Frostproof down south. Good to see that. Again, where you need it. The Winter Garden camera is looking at some of the storms, mainly in western Lake County and Sumter. Can't see the storm in Ocala from here. It's too far north. But again, good thunderstorm off to the west, and we do have that severe thunderstorm warning right now for Marion County. So Alice says lights are flickering. So there you go. Potential power outage issues in some of those areas. Appreciate John jumping in the chat saying, I'm in East Ocala near Silver Springs. Rain and thunder, but not bad. Just east of the worst weather. Just east. But I'm glad that Silver Springs has avoided the worst of that. And John, because you are east, you are likely going to be okay. I do not believe this storm is going to try and build that far back east. So if you have not had the worst weather here yet, again, with a slow west progression, you're likely not. And again, the Winter Garden camera, let's see here. I'm going to switch this again. We can do this when necessary, whatever we want to do. I'm going to switch Conway for Winter Garden on your screen. So now you see Winter Garden with our Sand Lake cameras. And again, Winter Garden is picking up some of that activity to the west. If you look at the bottom of the Winter Garden camera along the horizon, you can see some of the darker clouds and the thicker clouds out there. But if you're just tuning in, certainly the story right now is what's happening in Marion County. Now, our special weather statement is going to expire at the top of the hour. The storm is still quite nasty over Bellevue, closer to the villages. Still the potential for some significant hail here. So we're likely to at least get a special weather statement. We'll see what the Weather Service wants to do as far as maybe issuing an additional severe thunderstorm warning. But regardless, all the way from North Ocala to Bellevue and close to the villages, anywhere from 301 to 75, covered up in a very intense storm. And some of this area seeing winds of up to 60 miles an hour and maybe even up to inch-size hail. I hope we don't ground verify that size hail. But obviously it's possible out of this cell, so please take it quite seriously. All right, so that one's gone. The one special weather statement is done. We still have our special severe thunderstorm warning, which of course is higher on the scale, but that is still a rowdy part of that cell. I would be very shocked if they don't reissue something for southern Marion and into the northern sides of Sumter County. They almost have to. Pat is in northeast Ocala, heavy rain, thunder, and lightning, and the lights flickering. So several folks have mentioned the lights flickering. Thank you, Pat. I appreciate the information. Hopefully you stay with power. Hopefully you don't get any of that hail. New special weather statement north for 55 mile an hour winds. So this is really close to a severe thunderstorm warning. Goldilocks says we're clear in Venice. Appreciate that. After having some thunder a little bit earlier. Question about rotation. No rotation out in these storms right now. I'll monitor the situation. We're not in an environment where we have the low-level winds are likely to produce any of that activity. It's all very congested right now here. But no, at this point in time, no. But I'll monitor it for you, I promise. So as far as a tornado threat, very low, very, very low. Not zero, but very, very low. Light rain in Lake Wales. Again, appreciate everyone jumping in. Let me know what's happening in your area. It is a big storm, Timmy. Really, really healthy storm. So new special weather statement, you're getting that information now. It's going to be for this one here. And again, that is north and west. So it's crazy. You have a severe thunderstorm warning adjacent to a special weather statement. One cell is going south and west. The building cell to the north is going northwest. So again, special weather statement, northwest motion at 8. Severe thunderstorm warning, southwest motion at 6. Neither storm going quickly. Got to watch out for the opportunity for some flooding here too. When you have that intense of a storm and it's not moving quickly, flooding is a possibility. Check out the local storm reports. Make sure nothing was mentioned here. Might be a little bit too early to get a local storm report anyway. It is 6 o'clock. So the flood advisory for Orange and Several counties have been allowed to expire. There is a flood advisory. By the way, Blue Goose, I believe we've worked it out where St. John's is reappearing on the map now. So congratulations. Flood advisory up there. Western sides of Flagler. No flood advisory for everyone else. And again, the heat advisory is all the way until 7 o'clock. So as I'm scrolling over different counties, you'll see all the different things that are in effect right now. So, you know, in Marion County, you've got heat advisories. There is a flood advisory. Let's check out this flood advisory. So it is, so they did issue a flood advisory. Okay, here we go. And it was just issued. Okay, so flood advisory for South Central Marion County until 8 o'clock. Just issued 8 minutes ago. Minor flooding of low-lying and poor drainage areas. 1 to 2 inches of rain have already fallen. An additional 1 to 1.5. So 2 to 3.5 inches of rain for places like Ocala, Santos, Silver Spring Shores, the airport, Lake Weir, Ocklawaha, the villages of Briar Meadow, Weirsdale, Bellevue, Summerfield, all included in this flood advisory for the southern sides of Marion County. All right. Again, this is a county by county look. So everyone's lit up in orange because everyone's still under a heat advisory. But the flood advisory is for Marion County. And as I've mentioned before, technically a lot of us are under a risk for excessive rainfall. We've had a few flood advisories now for some rainfall totals that have pushed and gone beyond 3 inches of rain. Starting to get some cooler weather moving into Lakeland. That's good. You know, probably going to get a bit of that storm to your east. Hopefully not too strong. Now, as I mentioned, the Weather Service had to do something with the south extent of this storm. There was just no way that they could let that go. They have issued a special weather statement for that part, including Bellevue, and again, getting into Sumter County for the next 25 minutes until 6:30. 50-mile-an-hour winds, half-inch size hail. For the special weather statement, so you have a severe thunderstorm warning bracketed to the north and to the south by 2 different special weather statements. 50-mile-an-hour winds for Weirsdale, Ocklawaha, Lake Weir, the village of Briar Meadow, Bellevue, and Summerfield. And again, these areas are also under the flood advisory until 8 o'clock. So Marion County has been hammered by these storms in the last 45 minutes. One more look at the Jacksonville radar. By the way, remember I mentioned earlier, you live on I-10. The storm's coming out of southern Georgia, going to be making a run, Tallahassee down towards Lake City. Additional strong storm in Alachua County, High Springs to Gainesville. Woo, that storm's getting close to Palm Coast. It should fade, but it's going to be close, man. But notice again that no special weather statements here. If it's trying to backbuild east a little bit, it's losing its punch as it does so. And again, the special weather statements are all going to be more south and west. But within a very small view, 3 special weather statements, 1 severe thunderstorm warning. Inch-size hail is a possibility. Chuck is getting some storms in Fort Myers. Hey, Sandy. Continuous lightning, torrential rain there in Bellevue. Yeah, Bellevue is getting hammered. Absolutely right now. Just a really solid storm. Short or tight view here, guys. 360 lightning strikes. 360 lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes. Again, if there's any Jamboree football games in Marion County tonight, probably not kicking off at least at their kickoff time. Should be a little bit later. Or maybe if it's just a preseason game, a Jamboree, they play half of it or something like that. But no outdoor activities will be commencing anytime soon here in Marion County with these kinds of storms. Yeah, I saw that Tallahassee Rowdy Storm report. Again, guys, appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for taking a quick second, hitting the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Live only channel. I'm only on when there's impactful weather here across Central Florida. So have the all notifications on. If you're new to YouTube or not exactly sure how notifications work, if you see the bell icon, looks like a bell, near where it says subscribed, hopefully because you've subscribed, if you click on that, there will be a couple of different choices for notifications. For this channel, I do suggest, it's totally up to you, but I do suggest having all notifications on. And the reason why is being a live only channel, you're not going to get notifications every day from me. I'm only going to be on when there's storms to track or there's tropical systems to track or something's happening. If there's freeze conditions in winter, we've done that kind of live stream before as well. But you'll get that notification. You can tune in to see what's happening across the area. Maybe it's one of those live streams where you need to, watch for the entirety. Maybe it's one you check in, things are looking pretty good, you get on with your day. Again, never going to waste your time on the channel. We're only on when we need to talk. When things are done, we say goodbye and we see you soon. But I obviously appreciate friends of the channel who tune in from the very beginning, stay to the very end. But if you're one who likes to come in and just check in, again, I do appreciate you jumping in. And again, if you want to make sure that you join every live stream, having all notifications on is a good way to do so. Lots of rumbles in Ocala. Let's see here. Tori jumps in. First of all, says just inside Citrus at the Marion border, State Road 200, a road I know very well. No rain yet, but slowly getting dark, hearing thunder for a while now. Yeah, so if you get as far south and west in Marion County as State Road 200, it's just off towards your east, and that's the problem. The areas that have been getting hit continue to get hit, and the storms aren't moving very quickly. And for those areas just off towards the west, you're sitting there looking at the storms like, are they ever going to get here? What are they going to come with? Now that we're past 6 o'clock, we still have the opportunity for these storms to hold together for a while, but potentially, if they're not going to move much farther west, they might just start to rain themselves out over 75 as well, which is why when someone asked me about Spring Hill, the storms were on the doorstep. Are they going to make their way into Spring Hill? Not a guarantee. Look, even Inverness and Hernando, not a guarantee that this activity that is imminently just to your east will actually be able to work its way that far west. It ultimately might happen, but it is not a slam dunk. Again, these polygons from the National Weather Service, the severe thunderstorm warning was for 45 minutes, and it's a tiny, tiny area to have a severe thunderstorm for a 45-minute time frame. Like I said, it's almost worthless to do a track. I mean, we can look at a couple things here. If I take this particular cell and the worst part of it and track it south and west, even at 10 miles an hour, which is probably the most that cell is going right now. What was this track? At 7. So I'm being generous by letting it go at 10. It hasn't even made Hernando and Inverness in that time. And remember, I can also street level map our times of arrival. So out 45 minutes, it has not worked its way much into Citrus County. Village Jim says about 20 miles north and east of Ocala, getting interesting. Well, I'd imagine. I'm sure you probably hit by been multiple storms north and east of Ocala today. So again, just a really slow trickle of these storms. It's kind of feast or famine. And we continue to fire up additional strong storms. Look, boy, could you imagine being like, hey, Ma, I live in the Villages or I live in Wildwood. I'm going to drive 75 right now up to Gainesville. Could you imagine the 75 drive across Alachua and Marion counties right now? I mean, you were just lining up with strong or severe storms, even north of Gainesville. Gainesville's getting hammered right now, too. Again, for anyone else tuning in, Orlando East, we're quieting down. Not expecting redevelopment here. Same thing for the Tampa area. There are some storms in southern Polk County that are working their way south across Lake Wells in the Frostproof area. Bob in Frostproof came in and said he's getting some of this. That's great news. That's the kind of storm that you can probably handle. Certainly some lightning, but nothing that's going to cause any damage or cause any problems here. And potentially some very light rain has made the coast of Pinellas County, but not much rain. Some of that might just be a little bit of moisture in the atmosphere. Again, we have our live cameras here at CFLW. Live look outside to Winter Garden. I'm just going to drop off the severe thunderstorm warning real quickly so you can see that shot. Again, beautiful sunsets occur on this camera on a daily basis this time of the year, especially when we are like backlit behind some of the storms. You can actually see some of that orange peeking through right now. We're still, an hour and 45 minutes away from sunset, even just beyond. It's still past 8 o'clock this time of the year, but we'll call it just less than 2 hours then, I guess. But you can see, again, some of that over there. And of course, as I say that, we get a little bit of a glitch. But to give you an idea, that camera is looking west. This camera from Conway in downtown Orlando is looking east. It ain't nothing but blue sky out there. Again, it is feast or famine across Central Florida. But earlier today, a lot of the area looked a lot more like our Winter Garden camera. But again, Metro Orlando attractions, you're looking good. Back into the chat. Lots of rumbles in Ocala. Can I do Fort Myers radar? We typically don't cover that area too much that far south for the most part. I mean, obviously here, Cape Coral getting hit pretty good right now. Punta Gorda. Where is the... Is that in Naples? Go abroad here real quick. Yeah, Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, Fort Myers. Again, there's no special weather statements for this storm. This is also moving off towards the coast. So like Sanibel is going to get hit with this storm. So everything here in Fort Myers is moving off west. Question about Fort Myers in the chat. Still have power. Dogs are terrified. I get it. I understand. Again, all the information for all of the activity in Marion County is scrolling at the bottom of your screen right now. Of course, I'm live tracking it, but if you want to get a summary of the special weather statements and the severe thunderstorm warnings, you will find that down below. Eureka coming in saying, been raining for about 20 minutes west of Bellevue, still having that severe storm. Yeah, it's just not moving much, guys. I mean, this is a prolific storm in Marion County. A couple of things to mention about this storm. First of all, up to inch-sized hail is a possibility. It's not a guarantee, But that is what the warning is for. That is quarter-sized hail. That is damaging hail, right? Secondly, the storms aren't moving, so you have heavy rainfall. We now have a flood advisory for a lot of Marion County, including Ocala and Bellevue, for up to 3.5 inches of rain. And in some spots, they could probably be higher than that. And the winds could be another situation. Just because we haven't had a lot of winds being reported so far out of the airport doesn't mean that there aren't some core winds that are reaching 60 miles an hour within some of this activity. And then you have the tremendous amount of lightning. You have nearly 800 lightning strikes in this view in 15 minutes. If I just zoom into this tiny area between Bellevue and Ocala, 330 lightning strikes in 15 minutes. Gangbusters. Nasty, nasty storm. Still picking up some hail, 3/4 inch size. I'm a little bit more concerned in the special weather statement area. Uh-oh, didn't freeze again, did I? Why did my camera freeze? Am I still on? Okay. I'd like to go up, please. This one I don't know. Am I still on? Because for some reason my camera has frozen here. My audio is on, but my camera has frozen? Oh, fantastic. All right, so let me ask you this question real quick. Love technology, by the way. When I go to this shot, do you see me or do you see like a frozen version of me? See if we can restart our camera. So obviously you guys can still see. I was like, I should be on live, but why am I frozen? I'm going to restart our camera. So anyway, special weather statement for Bellevue will go until 6:30. And look, sometimes it's even better if you don't even see me anyway. So you can hear me. Okay. So let me just test something real quick. If I zoom out, can you guys see that zoom out? Yeah, I disappeared on purpose because I'm frozen on the camera. But my audio is still good, right? You can still hear me, right? So I'm not really frozen. When you guys say frozen, I'm not really frozen. My camera is frozen, but my audio isn't. All right. So basically our camera locked up on us. See if I can't get it to reset. And if not, we'll just do this audio-wise. We'll do it like it's 1920. Just resetting the camera here real quick, guys. While we're doing that, again, they have allowed the severe thunderstorm warning to expire in Marion County. So we have the two different special weather statements right now. No, I'm still frozen. All right. I don't think we're going to get the camera back. But again, maybe that's the best way to view the channel anyway. I hope that's not the case. Try it again here. But for some reason, it looks like our camera input has frozen. It happens. Technology. What are you going to do? Yeah, the darn blue screen, right? Yeah, we're good. So you have to understand, I'm trying to technically look at this on the fly, right? And I have a program monitor where I can see what you guys are seeing. So when I look at the camera, I'm looking at kind of a monitor, back when I worked in television, basically the teleprompter would become a monitor, and I've got a monitor just below my camera. And when I looked at it, I was frozen, and I thought we had a connectivity issue. But then I saw on my chat monitor that your chat was still coming through, and that I still looked like I was live, and that the radar was still ticking the time on the top left-hand side of the screen. So it didn't make sense for a little bit, but now it does. Basically, just the camera went kaput. I'm actually happy about that it wasn't the rest of the everything. So I'm going to bring back on these wind gusts, zoom back into this. So again, special weather statement for the Reddick area, northern sides of Ocala, including Spar and Anthony, till 6:45, the next 23 minutes. Special weather statement continues for Weirsdale, Ocklawaha, Bellevue, the village of Briar Meadow, Summerfield, till 6:30, the next 8 minutes. The one thing I can tell you is during the time of that disaster a few minutes ago, the storm has begun to split. And so hopefully now the activity right over Ocala is beginning to slowly dissipate. You can see that the reflectivity has come down right over Ocala. And now you have those two cores. Now you have the one up towards the Reddick area. And again, that storm is moving north and west. It's going to try and drift over 75. It's right at the 301, 441 split right now. Okay? And by the way, guys, you should feel ultimately sad because I might have brought the 11-week-old golden retriever on the stream too. Sassy might have made an appearance, but if we can't get this camera back up, I don't know how the Storm Squad member is going to be on there. But this is still a heavy core over 75. Slowly drifting south and west. Again, still the opportunity for some half-inch size hail here. But that cell still does not make a lot of movement. And then we just continue to line up special weather statements north of there in Alachua County, and another one to the east as well. I'm going to swing over and give this camera one last opportunity to behave. Just like a Glade Fresh in, I've plugged it in, and we'll see how we do. While I'm doing that, yeah, Sassy. Oh man, let me tell you something. The family wasn't sure when we named her whether it was going to be a great name. Oh my God, she is sassy. So Bellevue is still wild. Yeah, again, I appreciate it, guys. Just lost the camera. It's the only thing that happened. It's back. Huzzah. We've done it. Okay. Should be good to go. Now, I'm going to have to do a little bit of adjusting on the fly. You notice that the camera's off a little bit. It's because I basically just wrangled it manually. So let me adjust it real quickly. You guys can see kind of behind the scenes thing as I work it in. Good enough for government work. Okay, we're back. So now I guaranteed Sassy. I might have to actually bring Sassy. I was just trying to make you guys feel bad that I didn't have a camera, but now we might actually have to bring Sassy on screen. Yeah, dude, guys, you don't even know like the amount of technology we have to pull this all off. I mean, just that, I beg you for a like, to be able to do all of these cameras and to pull them into our system and have all of this graphics on the screen that's updating in real time, and the camera and the microphone that's wireless and all of this. You guys don't even know all of this tablets that I have here to look at the chat and other inputs and stuff. There's a lot. There's this box, there's this thing. There's so much stuff. And 98% of the time, everything works perfectly. Every so often, something happens. But I will handle a frozen camera for a few minutes because that's something that we can fix on the fly. All right. You can't tease us like this with the says. By the way, when we got her just before 8 weeks. She was 7.8 pounds, and we weighed her at 11 weeks yesterday, and she's 15 and a half. She has literally doubled in size and has all the sass of a young golden retriever, I can tell you that. So let's get back into the storms, and then maybe once storms cooperate, I will oblige and bring her on screen. Oh, we're going to do it now? Okay. Okay, come here.
People what they want.
All right. Oh my goodness. Hi, girl. How you doing? She got a new harness today as well. You want to say hi to the people? Want to say hi? This is 15 and a half pound, 11-week-old Sassy. You doing good? Yeah, everything okay? Is there anything you want to say? You want to say like and subscribe? Newest member of the Storm Squad, by the way, our official mascot. Yeah? You want to come get her? Okay. This is my 11-year-old. All right. Normally we do this at the end of coverage, but I guaranteed it. So bye. Say bye. All right. There we go. Again, you can't go wrong with kids and animals, guys. Can't go wrong with kids and animals. All right. Nope, no twisters. No twisters. So, 628, let's reset the situation. Again, if you live in Orlando, if you live in Tampa, St. Pete, we're looking good, right? Storms have already come through, or they dissipated before they just got here. The interesting thing is, again, guys, I show you this standard view because we can always take a look at, the lightning count here. It gives us a great idea. We still have nearly 1,500 lightning strikes, but it's all concentrated up here right now. And in our area, that means it's mainly Marion and the southern sides of Sumter County. There's a new special weather statement here. Again, the storms, now that they've pulsed up, they've gotten stronger, they're going to try and make a trickle off towards the west. What I like about this, though, is that this special weather statement is now for winds of 40 miles an hour. So hopefully we're going to see a weakening trend with the storms up in Marion County through the rest of the 6 o'clock hour. So this special weather statement here, which includes Bellevue, will expire right at 6:30. The far eastern extent of the new special weather statement is Bellevue, and then it's west across 75 and then back towards State Road 200. But again, winds of 40. So hopefully we're going to see non-damaging weather here. I'm still tracking a hail core over 75. There was the opportunity that as this storm crossed 75, northern Sumter County, there's some hail on 75, at least some pea-sized hail out of this. You have another special weather statement that continues from the northern sides of Marion County, and then it's just lighting up across Alachua County right now. Again, multiple special weather statements here as well, one even east of Cross City. I've mentioned the absolutely bad weather across I-10, so a lot of folks who might be tuning in from this area, again, severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect here. Again, we don't normally cover the Panhandle much, but I do want to just highlight for anyone tuning in as I go to the Tallahassee radar, you have some extremely strong and severe storms here. 3 different severe thunderstorm warnings in this area. So, as bad as it was in Central Florida for a time, here north and west, it's even worse. David says, Southwest Ocala near 75 strong clouded ground lightning. Appreciate that. Thank you, Alice. I appreciate that. So again, right here up in Marion County, it's good to see that we've seen the severe thunderstorm warnings replaced with special weather statements. It's good to see that it's come down a little bit as far as intensity, but I mean, you still have a potential hail core up here near Gainesville, and you have this cell which just slowly wants to track west. Again, the movement is so darn slow. West at 7. Does this storm, before it dies out, make it to 41 and Denellen? Not out of the question. It doesn't. Does it hit State Road 200? It's getting there now. So likely, by the way, State Road 200 is very heavily populated now, up and down 200, especially in Marion County. So, you know, many subdivisions, many businesses. I'm sure it's very busy on a Friday night. That's a good storm coming through there. Northern side of Ocala towards Reddick. And again, this cell here still has a special weather statement that goes for the next 13 minutes until 6:45. And places like Panoma Park are included in that. As I mentioned, close to Palm Coast, but this is raining itself out. So anyone who's concerned about East Coast, while the storm's back built a little bit, not expecting them to do too much. Situation over here too. Again, storm has back built a little bit east of Lady Lake, but that's just the scenario here, non-severe, but still could be some lightning in this spot for a time. Frankie says they need that rain in Live Oak. I hope you get it, my friend. I hope you do. Well, hello to Jackson Benny, 69 Coronet. You tell them that they're good boys and girls. Okay. So camera fixed, we're good to go. Technology is working, always happy about that. So I will say as we hit 6:30 that my thinking on the rest of the day is this, that it's our far northern areas, that it's Marion County, far northern Sumter. Have to see if this tries to get towards eastern Citrus. But again, 6:30, not a lot of movement. These storms are likely going to start to die a bit as they try and work west. Anywhere outside of that, the trend has been our friend. I don't see a lot of redevelopment likely to occur from Daytona Beach to Orlando, back down I-4 to Tampa St. Pete, including Bradenton to Sarasota. There is a cluster of storms over the Fort Myers, Port Charlotte, Cape Coral area, but in between, everything else is relatively light. Even the activity in the southern sides of Polk County has died down a bit, okay? So everywhere else, we're looking pretty good. Now here's a problem. I never like to see green on this map because flood advisories will appear in our other product. But when there is a flash flood warning, this shows up. So I do not like to see this. Flash flood warning now for the Lake Weir, Silver Spring Shores, Bellevue, Summerfield area. This means flooding is occurring or is imminent to occur. And they're always issued for lengthy amounts of time, typically a couple of hours. This one is going to go for 3 hours. So let's break it down for you. Not a good situation. Flash flood warning, south central Marion County till 9:30. Doppler radar indicating 1.5 to 3.5 inches of rain have fallen. Up to 2 more are possible. That's 3.5 to 5.5 inches of rain. Again, flash flooding is ongoing or is expected to begin shortly. Small creeks, streams, urban areas, highways, streets, underpasses, as well as other poor drainage and low-lying areas. I've already mentioned the areas included. Say it all the time, but it really hammers the point home. Turn around, don't drown when encountering those flood waters. Okay, so again, the areas we talked about, including Bellevue, flash flood warning till 9:30. That means there could be water over roadways across 441, 301. It only takes 6 inches of fast-moving water to take a car off the road. All right, never traverse a road that you don't know how deep the water is. I know it stinks, but you're not going anywhere anyway. You don't want to be out in this storm as it is. If you can absolutely avoid travel in the flash flood warning area, please do so. It goes till 9:30. All right. And it does extend to 75. which likely means that there's been some heavier rain and the potential for some water over portions of 75. So again, rural areas, horse pasture across the street floods at times, starting to hold water near Bellevue High. There you go. I think that's going to be a pretty common sight across portions of Marion County right now. Just areas that collect water have collected water. And some areas that don't typically collect water are right now. Cole, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Michael, good to see you from Lutz again as well. Appreciate you guys being members of the channel. Again, welcome again to BAM 8467, the newest member of the Storm Squad. That's what we call ourselves here. Sassy is the mascot of the channel and a Storm Squad member and a good girl. Again, would love to get additional reports out of this area. I appreciate everyone who has spent some time in the chat. Let me know what's happening in this area. But this truly is where we're looking at the active weather right now. I don't expect things to get any worse. Areas off towards the south. Our winter garden camera, again, continues just to show you what that kind of looks like at this point in time. But again, pretty dark skies across the area. Now, that's going to be a pretty typical sight back off towards the east from these storms, or south and east from these storms, that they're gray and that they're overcast, but nothing more than additional light rain. Brian says light rain in Clearwater, so there you go. Just a real quick look too. I'll just go triple box like this. For anyone who has plans in the Metro Orlando area, again, we're looking pretty good, right? Not expecting these storms to cause any big additional issues across the area. So Friday night football games look pretty good at this point, as well as overcast skies continue, but the storms have rained themselves out here. So Friday evening plans outside of Marion County right now look pretty darn good. The problem, though, is that it's still going pretty darn hard up in Marion County. And now we've had enough heavy rain where we've had some potential flooding. Let's check our local storm reports, see if anything has been reported out of Marion County. I don't see anything here yet. All right. Again, earlier we had a 55-mile-an-hour wind at Orlando International. That is what prompted the severe thunderstorm warning. But no local storm reports. Let's take a look at, let me drop off the radar data. Let's take a look at the estimated rain here in Marion County. Now again, this is a couple of things about this product. It's radar-derived estimations, but it's also not completely up to date like as of 6/39. Obviously, the system has to ingest the radar data and then spit out it. But you can see that east here of Bellevue, we have picked up, even though it's not completely up to date, we picked up to 2.5 inches of rain already in a couple of spots. Same thing through portions of Ocala. So this was probably last updated at 6 o'clock. So at 6 o'clock, we had 2 to 2.5 inches of rain in several locations, and that's well within what the flash flood warning is for. But now we add an additional 1 to 2 inches, and there's your problems up here in Marion County, right? So again, this is estimated rainfall for today up in Marion County. That is slightly not in real time. I always want to make that caveat because, we could see these numbers tick up very quickly once the new information comes in. By the way, too, some heavy rain in Orange County as well. Nearly 3 inches in a couple of spots on 417. But it shows you And remember I mentioned that storm in the northeast side of Hillsborough County earlier? Pockets of 3+ inches of rain through some of the area. But this storm just not moving very quickly right now. If I take the radar and I bring the radar on, you can kind of see that it's coming. Now that I've done this, we are getting some flood reports. So stand by. By the way, this is cool. This can show you two things at one time, the radar DBZs and the amount of rain. But I'm going to drop that off real quick because you see these little green icons? These little green icons are the flood reports. So here we go. So 6:35. This is why this is just popping on my information right now. In Marion County, 2 miles west-southwest of Silver Spring Shores, multiple private weather stations have measured about 2.5 inches of rain over the last hour. That is significant rain in an hour's time because that's not all the rain they've seen. Okay? Then on the southwest side of Bellevue or west-northwest of Summerfield. Let me drop this down a little bit more so you guys can see. Several private weather stations in the Bellevue Heights area have measured 2.5 to 3.5 inches of rain over the last hour. All right. This is why they issued the flash flood warning. They have access to a lot of private weather stations. They have access to the radar estimated rainfall totals, and we're getting significant enough now where we have the flash flood warning. So when I put this all together, right, it's like marrying everything. Estimated rainfall, where we have the flash flood, where we have the high rainfall total reports, and there's your carved out box for the flash flood warning until 9:30, right? So it all goes hand in hand with the data that we're seeing. And that's my TED Talk for tonight. Good night, everybody. But there you go. Question about Inverness. Again, I've mentioned it before, and my parents live in Inverness, so I'm always keeping an eye on it. The cell that's the worst is likely going to miss Inverness just to the north. Might get closer to Dunellen or to the northern sides of Hernando. The southern extent of this is actually weakened a bit. And I'm not sure how much farther west it's actually going to get. Again, it has not moved very quickly, which is why we have the flash flood warning. So generally speaking, for the Inverness area, I think we're pretty good, right? I think it might get a little bit farther west north of Inverness, but all the activity that's east on 44 near Wildwood has really fallen apart. It's actually holding together a little bit more back towards Lady Lake and Fruitland Park, this little cell by itself with some good lightning out of it. But again, just kind of hanging on right now more than anything. So ES there on the southwest side of Marion County. Again, appreciate my friends there in Marion County. Talking about State Road 200 near Ocala, got some rain now. So here's State Road 200. It runs southwest to northeast up into the southwest sides of Ocala. Appreciate that. Pipes of Blue says, can see the clouds in the distance from Beverly Hills. Thanks for being here for us. Dude, I appreciate it. No tornadoes. Again, very clear. Tornado threat is extremely low. It's not zero, but it's extremely low. Nothing that I've seen out of this right now has tried to produce a lot of rotation. You could still see what I call SLCs, or scary looking clouds. Low base, shelf clouds coming in. But right now, the most important thing is those winds are all going in one direction. Okay? So there's not a lot of rotation with them, but there could still be some strong downburst winds. But great question. I appreciate it. Summerfield is getting smashed from Stickman. Yeah, it's a rough time down here in southern Marion County. Again, special weather statement, ongoing strong storm, flash flood warning, 3.5 inches of rain in some areas in just an hour. Additional rain is still falling, fair amount of lightning. It's a good sell. They have allowed the special weather statement north to expire. Hopefully that will continue to be the trend. Now, although this is still bad weather in southern Marion County, the trend has been for these cells to lose a bit of their upper limit punch. Remember earlier we had a severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-an-hour winds and inch-size hail. Now we have a special weather statement for maybe up to 40-mile-an-hour winds. Look, it's still a strong storm. It can still bring impacts. It could still cause some damage to tree limbs, but not the hail size and the strength of the winds that we had a little bit earlier. So that is a good trend there. Still a pretty good storm over the Reddick area. See, we're looking out of Melbourne. I'm going to switch back over to Jacksonville. Again, not fun across I-10. Storms are still sneaking down 75. So you do have a strong storm over Reddick and McIntosh, but it's not a special weather statement storm. You get into the southern sides of Alachua County. Heck, man, you can't even see Gainesville, so covered up right now. 2 different special weather statement storms there in Alachua County. So it does look like the southern extent of this is taking over. And again, hopefully, right, as this cell tries to trickle west, and I mean trickle west, it dies out as it does so. West at 7. West at 7. West at 7 gets us to Denellen at 742, up 41. And not as far south as Hernando. But again, still could be some hail here. So Summerfield could be an area that has a little bit of pea-sized hail. If you are getting any hail, if you've seen any hail today in this area, please let me know in the comments. But again, a slow drift west of that storm. Trucky Truck says light rain there in south sides of Groveland. Yeah, it's just this veil of overcast. We're seeing it from the Winter Garden camera. So you can still have some light rain in Lake and Polk counties and even portions of Pasco and southern Hernando and coastal Pinellas, but that's all it's going to be. We've stabilized after the storms earlier today, not expecting anything else to get too bad out there for the most part. Again, our live cameras will continue to monitor the situation. Let's take a look at what's happening right now out of Winter Garden. That would be some of the light rain that Trucky Truck is seeing there in portions of Lake County. And again, I don't anticipate to get any worse than that. So that's good news, right? Not anticipating us to see those thunderstorms pulse back up in any way, shape, or form. So for Friday evening plans, I think we're looking pretty good there. Sandy Claus says lots of thunder and lightning, some rain in Marion Oaks. Appreciate that information. Again, you're seeing a little bit of blue sky return to some of our cameras here as the storms have moved out of some of that area, which is great news. Northwest areas will continue to have problems. Again, if you want to sponsor one of our cameras, you can scan the QR code at the top of your screen. We're always looking to expand our camera network and are actively doing so. Also, if you're a Central Florida business owner and you want to become a sponsor of the channel, you can click that QR code as well, scan it, and it will take you to our email address. If you want to be a sponsor like the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys, look, you get bogged down in an insurance claim process, and I have been there before, I promise you. I didn't know Bobby at the time. I wish I did, because I would have dropped it on his plate and said, friend, they'll walk you through that insurance claim process. Look, they offer free consultation and policy reviews, so you do have nothing to lose. Scan the QR code. It'll take you to their website, or you can reach out to the team at 407-502-0053. We appreciate the Lean Law Firm being one of the sponsors here of CFLW. Again, CFLW, your live only Weather Channel here in Central Florida. Rusty McCranie with you here. Great to see you now on this early evening Friday. We've been tracking storms for several hours across the area, developing in some eastern areas and interior locations, including Metro Orlando, and have been very slowly pushing their way back off towards the west. Some of the storms have pulsed up and have been severe, with winds of over 60 miles an hour and potentially up to inch-size hail. The problem spot right now in Central Florida, and it is isolated, thankfully, here as we get deeper into this Friday, is the southern sides of Marion County. Two problems. First of all, you can see that the county is still covered up in rain. The problem with that is we've had enough rain in a short amount of time. We have a flash flood warning in effect for the southern and southeastern sides of Marion County, including Bellevue. It goes until 9:30. Lake Weir, Silver Spring Shores, Bellevue, Summerfield included in this, okay? Till 9:30 for probably up to 3.5 to 5 inches of rain. We've already had some reports of 3.5 inches in an hour. An additional 1 to 2 inches of rain is not out of the question here. So flash flood warning means flooding is imminent or is already occurring in these spots. You do not want to be out and about if you are in this green polygon in the cities that I just mentioned. Still a special weather statement right now moving west of 75. It is slowly trickling its way back over the far southwest sides of Marion and the northeast sides of Citrus County, but a slow trickle it is. Again, on the south side of that, still can't even rule out a little bit of smaller hail. Okay. And then we still have a lot of congested activity north of Ocala. Not special weather statement criteria any longer. And some of this activity has just kind of slowly built off to the south and to the east. Again, same situation over the Ocala National Forest and then back over portions of Flagler County. Some of the rain and lightning has made it as far east as Bunnell. Likely not to get much activity at all over the coast of Flagler County, but some of this Crescent City towards Bunnell is out there right now. And storms, or even worse, portions of Alachua County, and then just a really rowdy lot of storms across I-10. This activity will not make its way into Central Florida today, okay? If you do live up Cross City, Gainesville, you're getting hit now, and you could still get hit by some of these storms north, including the Perry area. But as we lose the heat of the day, sunset is now about an hour and 15 minutes away. Most of this activity, especially what we're seeing here in Central Florida, is going to die back down. So again, right now, local storm report wise, we only have the Bellevue area. As far as the flooding, yeah, I'm not even going to acknowledge that. Again, not cool to pass along false information in the chat. Hello, Crazy Frazee. Florida says, hey, happy Friday. Good evening from Hawthorne. Nice. Nasty looking clouds heading this way. My chickens are hiding and the air is cool. Very cool. Well, listen, up here in the eastern side of Gainesville of Alachua County, east of Gainesville and Hawthorne area, that storm is just off to your west. I got to tell you, it's close. Like you said, you're probably getting the gust front and the cooler air, but everything is still likely to push more west than anything. I mean, could it backbuild a little bit towards Hawthorne? But yes, but the brunt of this storm will stay much closer to 75 than 301. So I appreciate you tuning in from Hawthorne, doing well here in eastern sides of Alachua County. Thanks for jumping in the chat. Yeah, I doubt you'll get much in Hawthorne, if anything. And by the way, Hawthorne is the home of our dog. We got Sassy from Hawthorne. Okay. Coming up on 7 o'clock. It ends up being one of these situations, guys, where kind of what's happening in Marion County is just going to continue for a bit here, right? Everything is pretty clustered up where I don't expect this to pulse up much more. Even this activity here is moving south and west. So it's likely to miss the northern sides of Marion County. Again, everywhere else is clear. I'm giving the all clear to everyone else here in Central Florida outside of Marion County. You know, even northeast Citrus County, north of Hernando, that's the southern edge of everything. Denellen will probably get run over with some rain and lightning. Based on the trends that I have seen, I believe that this special weather statement is going to expire at 7:15. I don't expect it to continue. There is a good cluster of lightning over 200 right now. If you look at that, about 84 lightning strikes. That is still very significant activity over 200. And again, winds could get to 40. But lightning, again, is not a criteria when it comes to special weather statements. It's all about wind. It's all about hail size. All right, so let's do a heat check in Marion County. Anyone who lives in Marion County right now and would be willing to jump into the chat, and I know several of you have already, but I'm just curious, A, how you guys did during these storms. B, what's the current situation right now? Has the rain lightened up? Has the lightning frequency lessened? Has any standing water that you've seen begun to recede? So, just want to know, do we still have really bad ongoing weather, or have we hit the peak in most areas and we're starting to see this fall a little bit right now? So let me know in the comments section below. Curious to see how that is playing out. Certainly the weather is improving in Ocala. You can kind of see in between right now, we're left over with just some light rain. The good news is our flash flood warned area, the rain is beginning to dissipate a bit. We're not in the worst of the heaviest rain right now in those areas, including Bellevue and Summerfield. Still some good rain in the Ocala National Forest, but again, it's really kind of just spotty and just out there. It is not moving much. And again, over the 7 o'clock hour, all of this activity should begin to die down a bit, right? Because we're losing the heat of the day. Sun is going to be setting here just after 8 o'clock. And so this activity should begin to wind down enough so where hopefully, even if it tries to push west closer to this flash flood warned area, it's not significant enough to continue the bigger issues there. Yeah, 77 degrees. The rain is lighter. So Alice, who has been in the chat multiple times, and I do appreciate all the updates, says the rain is lighter, and that's good news for the Bellevue area. We need to get the worst weather out of your spot. Okay. You're welcome, Crazy Frazee. Okay. So, rain has slowed in Summerfield, 0 lightning now. Okay, good. Thank you again. Appreciate the update, Stickman. That is good news. I like the trend. And again, Summerfield, Bellevue, 2 areas under the flash flood warning. Let's get the heavy rain out of there. Only area that I think could see some additional good downpours and some solid lightning is Denellen. I think that's about it. Now, obviously, 200 is included in this. When we're talking about cities, it's Denellen. All right. So I think we're going to wrap up the live stream here momentarily. A couple of things of note. First of all, the weekend does look to be a lot drier, right? Still could be the opportunity for a few storms, but at least right now, I don't expect there to be as much coverage of storms for Saturday and Sunday. That being said, look, it's going to be hot the next couple of days. If you're going to be outdoors, please make sure that you really find some shade and drink a lot of water out there. I'll be monitoring the situation, but I do anticipate the majority of the weekend to be relatively quiet. So keep that in mind. Storms are likely to begin to return early next week, but regardless of when we have active weather here in Central Florida, I'll be on live covering those for you guys. Once again, CFLW is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. Scan the QR code to take to their website, offering free consultation and policy reviews. It's 407-502-0053. Thank you again to everyone who tuned in to think enough about this channel to spend part of your Friday with me. Thank you to our moderators. Thank you to our members. If you are a member, I'll keep you up to date in between these live streams with your member-only short videos. Again, I'll be watching over the weekend, and we'll talk more about when these storms will next appear. But if you do have notifications on, you'll know when I'm next live on the channel, and that could be at any point in time as these storms redevelop. Again, thanks for tuning in on this Friday. Hope everyone who has been impacted by these storms, especially up in Marion County, has a safe rest of your Friday. And I'll see you next time there's impactful weather here in Central Florida. Until next time, my friends, take care. I'll see you soon.